morning. I guess almost midday for some of y'all, whatever the case may be. Give me a few seconds here. I'm going to get everything together. We're having nice little conversations here. There was something I left out of the title, but I'll get that into it in reference to Charlie Kirk. Um, there was some testimony yesterday regarding actually something else, but not Charlie Kirk. And it's apparent to me that just give me a second here. Let me get this together. And I'll be right with you guys. All right, we're going to do it like that. We're going to do it like that. Give me a second, guys. I just went live. So let me share this, guys. I just went live a few seconds ago. Let me get everything in order here. And I will definitely be with you guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure y'all hit that like button for me if you could. I appreciate it. Hit that like button if you could. Show some support to the channel. One-man show. So, hey, what are you going to do, right? What are you going to do? So y'all give me a second here. Everybody know I'm live so they can join in. Comment and share that much anymore. Everybody just jumps in. So I want to thank a lot of you guys for that much. But we have to share over here because if we don't, sometimes I just be on the part of things, We're going to talk about Cardi too, but I want to wait before I get into the Cardi speech. Just give me 1 second. All right, guys, sorry about that. I just had to go do something real quick. All right, guys, sorry about that. I just had to go do something real quick, guys. Like I said, I'm a one-man show. You know what I mean? Y'all gotta deal with me sometimes. I promise you, I'm gonna deliver everything to you. I just have to do my own setup and everything. You know how it goes. It's the way things are. But I prefer it that way. I don't like having teams or nothing like that. I just find that a lot of people ultimately they won't be loyal to you. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with this right here. What's going on, everybody? We're just gonna jump into the conversation. Did anybody have a chance to see the Kash Patel testimony? Did anybody? And if you did, please throw your regards in the chat room. I wanted to start there because it was apparent to me. Oh man, I don't even know where to start at with that one. It was apparent to me that Kash Patel might have possibly effed up yesterday. And I'll wait until the results or whatever conclusion anybody comes to. And regarding that, I will address that at a later time. But I do think that Kash Patel, he kind of got himself into a little pinnacle, as we would say. Yesterday. And he said, well, how about this? Do you want to join forces with me on this? We said, no, sir, that's not what I asked you. Hey, Trump, you need to get him on send him about his way. All right. Yeah, send him about his way. Trust me. He's gonna be an issue. Listen to me, Queens. He's gonna be an issue that you don't want on your hands later on. Trust me on that. He's impacting doom. Trust me. At the least time you would imagine there. So yeah, make sure you get that in pray. He's a sinking ship. That boat got a hole in it. Yeah. So anyway, moving on. Shout out to Kash Patel, though I ain't trying to dish you, I ain't trying to come at you, nothing like that. I'm just merely saying to the rest of America, they kind of smelt something. That's all I'm saying to you. So don't take it like I'm coming at you like, yo, whatever. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying to Kash Patel, FBI director, is this simply, sir, yesterday wasn't a good round for you. That's all I'm saying, all right? You got them talking. That's all I'm saying. You understand what I'm saying? Think of it as strategy. Not, making some people, they try to criticize people about anything, and they use that criticization to cancel people and things like that or whatever. I saw the same thing happen with Jimmy Kimmel. Now, a lot of people are going to be 50-50 on the Jimmy Kimmel thing. Kimmel, excuse me. I always want to call him Kimmel. It's Kimmel. A lot of people are going to be 50-50 on this. This is where I'm at with it. He made a statement yesterday. I'm going to play that statement in a minute, but he made a statement on his show now the night before last. And in that statement, without paraphrasing, just giving the premise of that statement, which was basically that the right was blaming the left for what happened to Charlie Kirk. And just to be fair, I have to say that's what it was. We had a female senator, I forgot what her name is. She's from one of the rural cities here in our beautiful country. We had her make her own disposition on how she thought the left had something to do with it. Then turned around. Then we had several other senators and other people, express their feelings. I got it. I get it. But they were blaming the left. Now, I'm not no righty or lefty. I'm right in the middle there. You know what I mean? But I will say this, because I think both sides have flaws and things they need to work on socially, society-wise, interaction-wise with the rest of the populace. The rest of the populace, many of these senators and people don't understand, except for I think I will extract from that conversation people in rural areas. I think people in rural areas that are constituents have more of a grip on what their particular populations want and need in their particular demographics, more so than someone that's looking over New York City, for example, or someone that's looking over, a higher populous demographic. So with that being said here, Jimmy Kimmel got on TV. He'd already been warned a couple of times about some of the dialogue he was having. And you got to remember how much Jimmy Kimmel is worth. See, let me put y'all on to something. So if you're new here, you're not new here. I worked in the music industry for over 17 years, okay? I went through 3 major companies as far as distribution. Those being Atlantic Records, those being BMG, Bertelsmann Music Group, and Interscope Records, which I think everybody's familiar with all 3 in one form or fashion. And one thing I know is there becomes a certain point for some artists, because that's what he is. He's a performing artist. Whether or not he's a musician, he's still a performing artist and still in the medium of media. That's what a lot of people don't know how to distinguish either. That's how I'm able to predict a lot of times, because I worked in marketing. So outside of me being an artist, I worked in a marketing department. I've marketed well over at least 40 to 46 different projects. I'm going to say somewhere around there. I might be shorting myself, or I'm definitely not heightening myself, but I might be shorting myself maybe by like 6 or 7. But long story maybe. Jimmy Kimmel ran into something that a lot of artists run into at some point or another after they made a lot of money. Y'all saw this recently, believe it or not, with negotiation talks with this guy, what the heck is his name? Howard Stern. And he took a little sabbatical. Well, preparations were made for him to, you know what I mean? And if you're familiar with anything that Howard Stern's doing, he's always been controversial. They have taken Howard Stern off the air before, then brought him back, and he negotiated his contract or whatever. I seen where the FCC chairman, who barely ever makes an appearance. I didn't even know who the new chairman was, but he came out. These are people that see over the satellites, things like that, you know what I mean? Which is kind of funny, because I always tell people this. I learned this in college, and I'll spread it to you guys so you can know it too, because maybe I can help out that way. There was a such thing as called the Red and the Blue Network, okay? The Red and the Blue Network were 2 radio stations originally, and they were set up by the U.S. government. They were used to cover the war for all the people that were back home, that were family, friends, relatives, children, or whoever, whatever, to know what was going on with their loved ones and the probability, I'm imagining, of them making it back. This is before you had terrestrial television. So you would have people that would sit around the radio and they would listen and they would hear whatever. Well, this was the start of what you now know as the American Broadcasting System and National Broadcasting System and the Central Broadcasting System. Now, all three of these networks are basically, they were, how can I call it? They caught their genesis from the government. You understand what I'm saying? So to this day, even though you'll see those like, for example, CBS is some of was at some of the lowest ratings they had ever had. And they'll let them sit. They'll let them sit. They'll let them sit. You will never see, listen, you will never, ever see the elimination of CBS, ABC, or NBC in any time. They'll rebrand them. Like NBC got rebranded after they got acquisitioned, but because now they're a private company. Once they go on trade, they're a private company, but still, they've got their start from the government. And so when I heard the FCC chairman, he said, well, we might just shut them all down. No, you ain't. Stop. Stop. No, you ain't. I like that. That's some good Friday time. We'll shut this whole shit. You, Jimmy Kimmel, the rest of the network, y'all all curtains. It's a wrap, you know. What's going on, Mark? Yeah, so, you know, Jimmy Kimmel, this is not the end of Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel is now threatened to sue. Yes, he did. That's why I said, when you're Brad Long, I want you to go right now. Hold on one second. I'm going to do it with y'all. Let's see how much Jimmy Kimmel is currently worth. Maybe that'll broaden the conversation for us, huh? How about that? Let's see how much Jimmy Kimmel is really worth right now. All right? I'm kind of scared to play what he said, because I'm like, if the FCC chairman came in and said something to him, I don't know if I want to play that. You know? So here they go. And I want to read this article to you guys, so I find it very interesting. A decision to yank Jimmy Kimmel's show off the air wasn't quite as rash as one might think. The issue had been brewing all week throughout the executive ranks at Disney and ABC. So Disney now, I don't know if any of y'all know, but Disney, yeah, 130 million, that ain't much. You know what I'm saying? Not in the broad prospect of terrestrial radio. You know, it ain't. Excuse me, television. The issue had been brewing all week throughout executive ranks at Disney and ABC. Now, if y'all don't know, Disney co-owns ABC now. Ever since Jimmy Kimmel made comments during Monday night's monologue about Charlie Kirk's suspected killer, and as he called Trump supporters the MAGA gang. Kimmel's remarks Monday attracted ire from the critics on the right, which put it on Disney's radar. On Tuesday's show, Kimmel doubled down, saying many of MAGA land are working very hard to capitalize on the murder of Charlie Kirk. But it wasn't until Wednesday afternoon after FCC chairman Brendan Carr went on to a conservative podcast and threatened to pull ABC affiliate broadcasters' license. Yeah, right. Sure, yeah. Sure. But it wasn't until Wednesday afternoon after FCC chair Brendan Carr went on a conservative podcast and threatened to pull ABC affiliate broadcast licenses and matter. So, once again, there you go right there. And then, but it wasn't until Wednesday afternoon after FCC. Now, this is the part I want to read y'all about Jimmy. And I don't know why this is keeps doing this. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm having a little hiccup here. Here we go. But it wasn't until Wednesday afternoon after FCC chairman Brendan Carr went on a conservative podcast and threatened to pull the ABC affiliate broadcaster's license, and the matter really escalated. Then Nexstar, the station group which airs Jimmy Kimmel Live in approximately 24 markets, announced that they would not air the show. Carr publicly stated that Disney was also at risk to lose his local broadcaster license and was a real serious threat for all of ABC. Yeah, all right. This isn't just about Jimmy Kimmel Live. It's about all of ABC and all the shows and all the employees. Another source privy to ongoing conversations at the company said a veteran television news producer who is not employed by ABC, there is no more terrifying circumstance for broadcast entity. There's no more terrifying circumstance for a broadcast entity than the threat of the FCC fine or worse. The agency could move or revoke station's broadcast license. Now, if worse, they'll give you a fine. They're not going to do that. According to one of the individuals familiar with situation, Kimmel was prepared to deliver his monologue on his show Wednesday night, and he planned to address the right-wing backlash that his remarks made earlier in the week regarding the politicalization of Kirk's killing. The individual describes Kimmel's planned monologues as very hot, taking aim at the MAGA base. It was then that Disney executives had conversations with Kimmel about taking down the temperature of his monologue, according to the individual. Nexstar announced its plan to pull Kimmel's show at the same time. That's when Disney CEO Bob Iger Iger and Disney Entertainment co-chairman Dana Walden made the decision to preempt the show indefinitely. That's interesting. Bob Iger, because they had fired Bob Iger. Well, Bob Iger had went into retirement, let's say that. And they brought him back because Disney, and specifically the Marvel movies, were failing. It was at that brief time, if many of y'all are not privy to it, it was on that time when we had the pandemic. How can I say, the pandemic interrupted production for Disney on all these big scale ideas they had for the MCU universe. Now the MCU, guys, we got 300 people here. Can y'all double tap the screen and hit the like button? I appreciate it. When these Marvel movies garnered interruptions, basically that's the best way to put it. They garnered interruptions on production based on the pandemic. So they had a few movies that were ready to go. I think it was Black Widow, and it was a couple other ones. But Disney lost a lot of money on production. They lost a lot of money on ticket sales because these movies didn't come out in the first initial order they were supposed to come out because of production problems. So anybody that's familiar with the story, they know. Somewhere in between that time, they brought back Bob Iger to put things back in the privy up at Disney. There was actually somebody else up there. Dana, the other name that I'm familiar with, she had been up there for a while. You know what I'm saying? So these are like, and previous, just like her, so was Bob Iger. So Bob Iger, that 10 years under the original trilogy. You understand what I'm saying? And the reason I highlight and I say that because of this pure simple fact right here. Disney only made money off really two of these new that really gained some fanfare here. And this is a Disney, you got to understand, Disney and ABC, they were in coalition with each other. You understand what I'm saying? So you got to understand this is broader than you think it is. They lost a lot of money on it. And they lost a lot of money on the production of the Disney Plus shows. They didn't get the subscribership that they thought they was going to get. And they didn't get people. Most people, they go to different little networks and channels to find whatever show they want to find nowadays anyway. You wait a day or wait a two, you can find it here, you can find it there. So anyway, long story short, they bring Bob Iger back. He starts getting things in order. First hit and success that they have is with Wolverine, in my opinion, on the next track of these movies was Wolverine and Deadpool, or Deadpool and Wolverine. That was an international hit for them. So they made some money off that. I think it's caught over almost close to $1 billion, almost $1 billion. And then after that, I guess the next hit for them was going to be, and I mean, it didn't last as long as Wolverine, but I would say Fantastic Four. But I don't know if that's in fanfare or that's monetarily. See, a lot of people confuse monetarily and fanfare for the same thing. It's not the same thing. So with Jimmy Kimmel, let me get back to that. He's in a little pickle because now they're working on Avengers Doomsday, and they just wrapped up production on that. Now, the brothers that came in to do it, they cost a lot of money. You understand what I'm saying? So what y'all thinking is, you're thinking, well, Disney is worth billions. They don't have to work. No. Companies lose money. And I'm telling you, they had a whole slate of movies from Marvel that they lost money on. They lost a lot of money on these movies. Like, the new Captain America was trash, in my opinion. It could have been better. Plus all the edits, all the reshoots and everything like that, that's money. It's production time. What else was? Somebody wrote Deadpool in there. Deadpool and Wolverine. What was the other one they lost money on? It was another one. Secret Invasion. That was the one with Samuel Jackson. Ironically, you ain't seen Samuel Jackson around since, because Samuel Jackson cost money. They spent a lot of money on that show. I'm trying to think, what was the other one they spent a lot of money on, and it didn't snap the way they thought it was going to snap. It's all together. I was just going to say, I can't name every last one on top of my head, but all together it was about like 7 of them, which was supposed to be hits. And so when you monitor in and you put in the production costs, hiring directors, paying out the actors, you get your residuals back from the ticket sales and the outlets that you put them in internationally or whatever. Sometimes you're lucky if you break even. In a lot of these movies, they didn't break even. They did not break even. So even more of a case of why they would get rid of Jimmy Kimmel, because if they was to take a fine, and depending on how much that fine was, it could be a hit for them. See, this is when you run into something that's called vertical integration and synergy. All right, let me explain it to you. So vertical integration and synergy is basically this. They work off almost the same premises, but it's a little bit different. With vertical integration, you basically got one company, one head company. So in this case, it's Disney, right? And Disney, they own a whole bunch of other different outlets. So they own music. They own. Let's see what else could they own. They own a newspaper. They own um, movies, television, online demand. Da 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 da. They use all those outlets to push one product that they're pushing for that week. So on all those different outlets that I just mentioned, each last one of those outlets they're using to promote, let's say, Deadpool and Wolverine, or they're using to promote, you know what I mean, or it's the opposite in that synergy. Either way it goes, this is the way they do it. And when you got, what we say, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Oh my God, I heard that was horrible. That flop too. They have a lot of flops. It wasn't, and I'm glad you mentioned that. It wasn't just they were betting the highest on the Marvel movies, but it wasn't just the Marvel movies. Like they made a remake of Willow, which was actually good. That was on Disney Plus. It didn't pull that much. They cost a lot to make that. We're talking about like a Lord of the Rings type of production. If that makes any sense right there. So you've always got these different types of money losses that they've taken, multiple ones or multiple different projects outside of the Marvel stuff that Disney slash ABC has taken. They can't take no hit for no fine right now. And that's why they would get rid of a Jimmy Kimmel. They would rather take losing the show than bringing that. Now, as Jimmy Kimmel was a person, what he said, I don't think you have the right to free speech. The only thing is, when you using free speech don't relate to the marketplace. Free speech don't relate contractually. And when they sit down with you the first time, and that's where a lot of motherfuckers, excuse my friend, that's when a lot of people get invincibility complex. They think they're invincible. Guys, we got over 400 people in here. Can y'all double tap the screen and hit the like button? I think what I'm telling y'all, none of these other podcasters really could tell you. I actually worked in the business. So I'm trying to tell y'all, and y'all don't want to listen to me. Why don't, as you're listening to me, Google it and see if everything I'm telling you is the truth. It's very easy. If you don't want to take my word, that's cool. But if you're sitting there and you're deducing me because of whatever, I'm a man, your favorite vlogger don't like me, whatever the case may be, then you're a fool. I'm giving you free, like, intrepid game here, and it's a shame that nobody hits the like button, nobody donates, it's 450 people in here. Google is terrible for research. Goodbye, sir. Goodbye, sir. Anytime a man says Google is terrible for research, but you sitting up here on a Google product, YouTube, there's something wrong with you. Anyway, I've never, you see what I mean? There's something wrong with these people. The reason they took Jimmy off ATV already has been explained. Just follow the money. Duke, you think it's that simple. I love when you get people in here that are very simplistic in their explanations, and these people have work histories at Dunkin' Donuts, work histories at McDonald's, work histories as Joe the mechanic. No disrespect to any of those people. You understand what I'm saying? But if you haven't worked in this business before, your guesses don't really matter. You know what I mean? Like, your guesses are just guesses. You don't know the intricacies of that business any more than I know the intricacies of how to make the best hamburger, or how to fix a car very quickly, or how to, you know what I'm saying, ring up your groceries as fast as anybody else. So, you know, there's people for specific jobs in the world. This one was mine. Is that fair? So it's safe to say, I'm not trying to be cocky, but I'm trying to be realistic here. You don't know what vertical integration is or synergy, but you sit there and pretend that you do. See what I'm saying? Last time I went to Disney in Florida, oh man, OBT, Orange Blossom Trail. You got to go down a whole road. Let me tell you something. When you go into Disney World down to Florida down there, right? You got to go down a whole strip. And there's people selling oranges out there. If you're coming back from Disney at nighttime, 9 times out of 10, and at daytime, there's hookers out there. You can't see the hookers as you're on your way to Disney World. Hey, kids, wave at the hookers. Guess it's a small world after all. As a soul they play from Disney. I wanted to read that. Frank brother wrote, last time I went to Disney in Florida, it was $6 for a can of Coke out of the machine. Yeah, you better believe it. You better believe it. Yeah, you better eat before you get there. You better eat before you get there. It used to be a Shoney's over there by where the Florida Mall is. I think that's what it is. But there's a mall, Florida Mall right there, and then you go like literally over these tracks, and then you keep going over. It's called Orange Blossom Trail, OBT. That's what they call it. I went to first time in Florida for me. I was in Orlando before I was in Miami. So that's why I know that. It's Page Street. Shout out to Page Street down in Orlando. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He said, I know what I'm talking about. He said, Shoney's was on here back in the day. That's word. Word. I don't know if it was there no more. Charlie pissed a lot of people off, somebody says. Let me tell you, Mark wants to say that's true. Charlie KKK. I don't know about Charlie KKK. Have you ever, this is the thing. You gotta understand this. You have the right in this country to say whatever you want to say. You really do. You have the right to say what you want to say, but like I said, you have to watch what you say in these mediums. Now, I make sure that I'm very specific. I don't go out, as you notice in this, what's the name right here, would you say? Love Hot Fudge Sunday from Shoney's, that's word. So y'all notice like right here, I have people come into my chat room and they'll say all kinds of obnoxious things to me or whatever, and they think like the regular soft, scrupulous, what's the name, 360 people here. Guys, can you double tap the screen and hit the like button? Double tap the screen and hit the like button. Double tap the screen and hit the like button, please. Double tap the screen and hit the like button. That's all you got to do. If you don't know what a like button is, I appreciate it. You have the right to say whatever you want to say in this beautiful country of ours, but this is the problem. No problem. This is the problem. When you get guys that are like in the chat room right now, like somebody wrote, I said, can you hit the like button? Somebody wrote, no. You know what I mean? When you get people like that are, antagonistic, I like to call it microaggressions. You can find that definitive. Guys, please show you double tap the screen and hit the like button, please. I'm going to read your comment in a minute, Kaya. When you get people that have these microaggressions and they find it funny, those people are very dangerous. There are a lot of people out here in society now that find jousting with microaggressions is a safe way in society, and I say no. I say very opposite. You can soft jab with somebody, but if they decide to hit you with full force, then that's the thing that's going to become the norm now. And it's a lot of it's from frustration of people getting tired of people, and I hate to say it, a lot of people from the woke generation. A lot of people from the woke generation, in my opinion, have calculatedly, and I don't even know if that's a word, but they've been able to calculate dishing out little portions of things and tropes and shaming tactics and this cancel culture thing. That's what just happened to Jimmy Kimmel and many other things that normally in the world, and I'm not saying it for better or for worse, but normally in the world prior existing to, and I hate to say it like this, and Obama, you're going to feel how you want to, prior to your election, just wasn't so. I would have to say, even though we had our differences even in those time periods, it wasn't quite the grain as it is now, and it's sad. You got times now where men are hating women. I'll just use that as an example. I don't even have to get into the racial element of it. I can get into the gender element of it, to the point where some women are not even being approached anymore because they're being looked at as passive aggressive. And so this is all tropes and things that came along. We have a whole generation now of women that have been raised in this woke tenets. And it's scary because it's literally shifted the paradigm of social engagement in society, in my opinion. Along, you couple that with cell phones and cell phone usage. They said the average person stays on their cell phone nowadays 6 to 12 hours a day. That's your friend, literally. I don't think I'll go through, but we will see. Let me read some of y'all comments. Guys, make sure y'all double tap the screen and hit the like button. Double tap the screen and hit the like button. Don't feel ashamed to hit the Cash App, $STRINGERBELL80. The problem is people get too comfortable on the internet. They have been punched in the damn face. Now, John M., this is something that I preach on a regular basis here. I talk about how people come into my chat room and all of a sudden you'll hear me firing off on somebody, right? But see, I live in the Northeast. You understand what I'm saying? I live 35, 40, almost 40 minutes away from New York City. So everybody here in my area is from New York, Jersey, Connecticut, da 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 da. We have a certain type of flavor and stuff here, and I just don't take when in person or on the internet. You just talking to me any old kind of crazy way because that's what your heart conviction told you to do. I just don't agree with that. But a lot of people have become lax what before they would have reserved for. You just wouldn't go out and say whatever you wanted to say because there was that fear somebody will punch you in the face. But when you implement cameras and stuff like that, or you implement having, being online and thinking you're going to gather 15, 20 people to say, oh my God, he's attacking me, when you were the instigator, but you can run back and you can say, oh no, I'm the victim. And victimization, in my opinion, is what's even driving a lot of these people to say what they want to say. Now, I've watched some engagements with Turning Point. I knew about Turning Point before this tragedy happened to this man. And I'm going to read some stuff about him too, because there's a lot of updates about him. But, with Charlie Kirk, I saw him engage in the same form of talk 2 times. Well, maybe 3. And it would be a black student or a Latin student. And they would say, well, tell me if white privilege ain't a thing. Now, this is why I disagree with Charlie Kirk. I do believe there is such thing as white privilege. And I don't mean by necessarily it being defined by whatever, but it's a sentiment that exists in all cultures when you really think about it. So to put a highlight on it is kind of weird. But guys, make sure y'all double tap the screen and hit the like button. Double tap the screen and hit the like button for me, please. When you have somebody that's white and they come in through somebody else's white, 37% of my state is literally Italian American. You know what I mean? I grew up around Italians, a lot of Greeks. Been to the funerals, weddings, Christmases with them. They're friends of mine. You know what I mean? And they'll never stop being friends of mine. But one thing I do know about whites, that when I was with them and I would hang out with them, we'd go to restaurants and things like that or whatever, usually it'd be the same thing. They'd be owned by Italians, Greeks, or whatever. Now, there was no racism in there. But you could definitely tell the difference of Twan's sentiment. The sentiment was attached to culture. The sentiment wasn't attached to racism. And I could tell that because they were still nice to me. And then I had to take an effort. They've been coming here for years. I'm a stranger here. So of course they're going to talk to them more. And I think a lot of times people have to make that distinction. Is somebody really being racist to you, or is that person just a jerk? Or is that person just a jerk to everybody? Or is that person, and you have to distinguish that, and it's hard to distinguish that sometimes. So sometimes I think with a privy of, when they say white, white privilege comes into privy, I'll say this definitive from what I see here in the New York City tri-state, I would say that's more definitive in most cases. Not all cases. I'm going to get into that too. Don't worry about it, black and Latin people. I got y'all. But I would say 70% of the time is because of their affiliation with their own. And the same affiliation you should have with your own black and Latin people, but you don't. Oh, Dominicans treat Cubans different. Jamaicans treat Haitians different. Haitians and Jamaicans can't stand each other most of the time. Most of the time. But when you get brown people, they don't hold the same adoration for their own. And a lot of times the reason they don't do it is because, and I don't give a damn what nobody says, yo soy la cubano, la mareno. I know exactly what I'm talking about. They don't hold the same adoration. Even when you get somebody that's in the islands and they make it to the United States, they will look down on the people that's back in the islands. Real talk. You know what I'm saying? What would I go back there? That place is horrible. They'll talk like that. You have to have that same adoration within your culture group. If you don't, and I'm talking about for the long form, you know what I mean? I see a lot of Chinese nationalists, they do that. I see a lot of Japanese people, they do that. I see a lot of Eastern Europeans specifically do that. Canadians, they'll do that. But not so much like an African or somebody from the Caribbean. I'll tell you what I mean. Somebody in Mozambique, somebody in Senegal, they could have grown up in Senegal, they could have grown up in Ghana. They'll 9 times out of 10 move to Switzerland, Germany, France, Belgium. What's the other spot they go to? There's a couple other ones. They'll move to those spots. And when they move to those spots, they'll stay there lifelong. They'll drive a BMW and everything else, and they'll never return to Senegal, Ghana, any of those places. Most of the time for a lifelong, or not for a funeral. After that funeral is over, or that engagement's over, or that wedding is over, whatever, they ride up out of there. They'll leave right up and fly right back to Germany, Sweden, wherever. And they won't come back again until it's their time. This is God honest truth. You ask any, I was told that by a man, his name is Baba Untunde. Now, he was from Ghana. And he told me that. He said, most people, man, they don't ever come back to Africa. I said, wow. So the reason they don't come back, why would you ask that? Well, it's like the reason that many European white immigrants don't ever come back to their home country, my friends, is because of the pure simple fact of this: embarrassment. Some of these countries, if you return back to them, you're returning back to them because you got deported, or not the best terms. You get what I'm saying? So anyway, skipping that conversation, I don't think it's necessarily white privilege. I think what it is a unison of togetherness within your own that's condestined to being embedded, into people in white culture's DNA. And I say, instead of raising the question of crying and saying, why they hate me, and getting online looking like a bunch of weak bitches, excuse my French, I say to black and Latin people, maybe you need to take advancement of this. You're more powerful together. In fact, this is why most of the people that are outside that 70% that I mentioned in white culture, that 30%, which white culture even shuns. The average white person might even have reserves about blacks, but one thing they're not going to do is go join the KKK or separatist groups. Most of the time. Most of the people that join those groups are uneducated. They're frustrated with life because they never look at themselves and say, I'm the failure. It's not because Rakim or Mario got the job. It's because I ain't trying hard enough. A lot of people will say, well, you even have more of a privilege, and I think this is where the privilege thing comes into, because I said people kind of identify with their own a little bit more. But if most of the bosses are white in America, can we agree on that? Most of the bosses, even for you white women, if you're listening to me, it's easy to say that they would hire other white men. Now, I'll put you on to something else. I put up a picture yesterday, and it's Charlie Kirk and President Trump together. And a lot of people, if you're non-minority, you're not going to understand this. Guys, make sure you double tap the screen and hit the like button. Double tap the screen and hit the like button for me, please. Because I want y'all to understand the intricacies. There's intricacies in conversations. Y'all want to hit the surface of the conversation, but there's intricacies in the conversations. All conversations, whether you like them or you don't. Well, in this intricate part of the conversation, maybe what needs to happen is that more, bye, Monica. Maybe what needs to happen is that more people in black culture need to start opening up the prospect of, you need to be a mentor. Let me explain to you what I mean. During the 1960s, when a lot of you guys, and you should listen to me, during the 1960s, they had people like Angela Davis. They had people like, and he ran for president not too long ago. I forgot what his name is. Little short man with glasses. If somebody remembers his name, he's up there at Harvard. I know that Angela Davis used to be a power to the people. All these people at some point or another sold out for corporate America. Now, this is true. Okay? You don't have to think that I'm lying or whatever, but a high majority of those people that you had at one time that was marching on the streets, that were connected to this group, that group, the People's Liberation, this and that, and they were doing great work. When the U.S. government came in and started investigating a lot of them, like the MOVE movement, Black Panthers, a lot of them, it disbanded them by force. But there were some repercussions that came with that, even though some of their, and I do get you, some of their literature was a little bit, a little too anti-government, a little too fascist, a little too communist for me. But I get it at the times. Well, the representatives is more what I'm pointing to versus the people that versus the elements that took them down, or versus the movements themselves. I'm talking about the people. Your Angela Davises and all these people, they went on to write 90 Day Network. What's going on already? These people, they went on to work at Harvard University, Yale University. We got some of them down here too. And they forgot that group that was supposed to be promised those jobs. So when they got into corporate America, and now they didn't cut the afro, they didn't turn regular or whatever. No, I'm telling you, and listen, you'll have tons of black people who come in here and agree with this. You'll have tons of other people come in here and agree with this. White as well. Well, those people were supposed to boost up the next generation, and instead they went there individually. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of them didn't get married. A lot of them didn't help out anybody else. That's when I put up the picture yesterday, and it was Trump and Charlie, and Trump had that stern look in his face, like, this is the guy I'm endorsing. Point me to a picture right now where you see some modern day black person in some power position and they got the same type of picture. They don't. Because what it is, and I'm telling you this from the music industry, one of the biggest problems that we had in the music industry was that there was certain, yes there was, and I don't care who in the music industry here, this Dame Dash, tell me I'm telling a fucking lie. One of the main problems you have in the music industry is the blacks that were in the music industry. And I got to say this, and regardless of Puff or whoever, whatever, this is my story of what I've seen for 17 years. There were not everybody, but there were a whole bunch of black dudes and Latin dudes that were in power positions. And they saw that there was other people that were coming up. And instead of helping those people come up, what they would do is they would try to put you up under them. You understand what I'm saying? And mutter your growth. You know what I mean? So, like, hey, I see you. You're trying to make an album, huh? Come on over here with me. Had that Drewski laugh on. You know what I'm saying? But this is what they would do. And so you start working with this person, tattling along with him, trailing behind them, or whatever. And the whole time you don't exceed to the part where you want to be at. This is what a lot of black and Latin folks do. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm not just saying in the music industry, it extends in other industries. I want you to be big, but I don't want you to be bigger than me. Now, that was one of the issues I had. And I think a lot of other people that have been through the grinds of the music industry will not disagree with me. I guarantee, go ask Dame Dash your shit, ask him if he disagree with me. I'll give you one even more. Go ask Dame Dash this question. Ask him, does he remember the time period when people, it was like a good 5-year time period until people started catching on to it, where people would sign artists, and they would sign this artist because they saw this artist as a threat. So they'd be like, when's my album coming out? January of never. And now you looked into a 7-year contract, 3-album deal with no clauses, no speech for language, no options, no nothing. Point percentage is like 0.48. Looking crazy. What's the residuals? Nigga, hey, 6 months I get a check for $15. It's not funny, but it's the truth. You know what I mean? There you go. Black and Latin crabs in the bucket. That's exactly what it was. A lot of it. I think, and I'm going to speak for Puff. I think Puff started getting privy to, and I think a lot of people blame Puff for this, but this practice was there before he even got there. So anyway, back. We're not going to talk about Diddy right now. We'll talk about that in a second. But with Charlie Kirk, I want to read something, because now we're going to be celebrating a day for Charlie Kirk. And I've got my reserves about Charlie as a whole. I saw some engagements. I don't think he was ever malicious in his intent. I saw how he hung with Candace Owens. Candace Owens is literally from my area here in Connecticut. You know what I mean? She's from Fairfield County. I have 3 videos on my page where I've taken people on this page to Candace Owens and where she grew up at. You know what I'm saying? It's not funny, but you laughing. What's not funny? It's always promised just to be patient Next time it's crazy. Sounds like Black and Latin in the bucket. Some say Yo Gotti did that with Young Dolph. Is that real? I never really looked into that in deep. When they became plantation owners. Y'all may not know the story about Puff, but speaking of Harvard University, I can't say this real quick. Puff comes from free people. Did you know that? Puff's background comes from emancipated slaves. Did you know that? And the way we found this out was Dr. C. Lewis Henry Gates. You can actually go look this up. He does DNA genealogy tests and things like that. He's one of the innovators on it. Black gentleman, walks with a cane. Y'all probably seen him before. Oprah endorsed him for a moment and actually covered some of his first shows, which were called entitled Black in America. Then he did Black in Latin America, etc., etc. But Puff's family comes from emancipated blacks. I don't know if you knew that or not. So he was never, per se, if you want to say, privy to being of a bondage mind. Does that make sense? And I'm starting to see this separation. That's why I mentioned a lot of these people. You won't see like how Charlie Kirk was endorsed by Trump, and you've seen all the you've seen all the push to keep him alive or whatever. When's the last time that you saw Black America really do that? And it's not a rapper. They have literally, systematically, repeatedly celebrated rappers that have died, not all of them in bad ways, but a lot of them in violent ways, shootouts, things like that or whatever, and continuously keep their memory alive. Meanwhile, Roberta Flack died, and nobody barely said shit. Literally. Who else that was of importance? Malcolm Jamal Warner passed away. They got over it after 3 days. He's part of my childhood. He was part of the persons that gave me inspiration. He never changed. He never changed. That's what they'll say about me. He never changed. He definitely did it like Frank, didn't he? Yeah, he did my fucking way. But yeah, man, it was a lot of people that people forgot, and that's why I can foresee it. And I said, if they forgot those greats, just like that, then they'll forget me too. So you got to start paying attention to where your allegiances are. We all lost reality on finally. Yeah, I think so. We live through screens. Yes, ma'am. Guys, make sure y'all double tap the screen and hit the like button. I'm just reading out your comments and everything like that or whatever. And feel free, man. Listen, make sure y'all support my Cash App. If somebody could write that so I could pin it, I would appreciate that. But we're going to do a rather longer live today than we usually do. Charlie was assassinated. Mike, you should stay here. I'm going to get to that. Hello, how you doing, Mike? Where do you disagree with Charlie Kirk? Somebody asked me. I disagree with Charlie Kirk because of his approach. I think there is a way. You see, I just said I live here in Connecticut. And many of times when white men want to have conversations about their feared frailty, which I'm going to say is basically what it is, when you say to someone, because I've heard blacks have the same conversation, when you feel assaulted, when you feel pointed out in society, when you feel attacked because just for simply being. This is the way a lot of white men are feeling because worldwide, white men are blamed for a lot of things. They are. Some of it's justified. Is that fair? It's not your fault as a white man, but a lot of it is instituted by white men and white governments, or have a white face with them. And it can be European, they can be French, they can be Israeli, they can be Russian. You following me here? So once you get a group of people that's uneducated, especially from third world countries, you get a group of people that feel the beckoning of tariffs and things like that. Once you get a group of people that in the United States and they're like, no matter what I do, I can go to college, I can go to jail, you're going to treat me the same way. This is how a lot of black Americans feel, whether you know this or not. I would even go as far as to say a lot of the problems that white America sees and they complain about, they actually are their own creation. Because there's a certain small minority within your populace, because all of us have our own reserves for like prejudices and shit like that. Like, for example, I don't like poor white trash, but I don't like niggas either. You know what I'm saying? So you feel what I'm saying? Like, follow me here. My point is those trash elements within that culture, just like the trash elements in black culture now, who have their own little separatist groups. Some of this separatist stuff is an example of feeling like you're constantly being stomped on. And so when you, as a white man, if you say, well, I feel like I'm being attacked for just existing, a lot of black Americans will say, well, I feel the same way. A lot of Latin Americans will say the same thing. They're hoppy-ato Latin Americans. And a lot of these Latin Americans that ICE and ATF and all these people are hopping out on are actually American citizens. You understand what I'm saying? For example, they arrested a nigga from Puerto Rico. And Puerto Ricans like, out of all Latin groups in New York, Puerto Ricans are the longest standing group in New York. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just amazing to me. Why talk with colors? Okay, hold on one second, guys. We got a conspiracy theorist in here. I don't do conspiracy theorists. Anyway, yeah, I don't do them weird people. My point is, as a white man, I understand where you're coming from, because a lot of people blame the world's problems on you. But what you got to say is, I don't want you to be beckoning the foot and everything like that. And what I respected out of Charlie Kirk was, at least he brought the conversations forward. It was his delivery in the conversations sometimes that were questionable, and his conclusions and his, being exact on things. So let me explain what I mean. Sometimes, like, for example, he had one, and he had forms of questioning. So it let me know that he had somebody that literally, no, I'm not stupid at all. Your mother's stupid. He had levels of questioning. Like, I'll give you an example. He had one question that he would ask, and the person would ask it. Now, I noticed this in 3 different videos. You can go look these up for yourself. He would ask, do you feel that there's white privilege? Just look this up, all right? It'll come up very easily. You go to Turning Point's website. You can check it out for yourself. They're there. And this question was asked numerous times to black kids. And this is what I mean. I think Charlie actually had a different intention for black America, and something that he saw in black America, but he only saw it in certain individuals, and he wanted to, how can I say, almost turn off that bridge point, which is the matrix for them. See, let me tell you something. If you're not black American, my mother's black American, so if you're not black American, you're not going to understand this. But a lot of the kids are grown up in fear. You understand what I'm saying? Oh, and especially the boys. They put more instinct of fear on the boys than they do the girls, which is a very big mistake. You should put more fear instinct in the girls. You can be taken advantage of. You can be kidnapped. You can be sexually assaulted. You can be all these stories that we hear from Epstein to, whoever else you want to bring up, Weinstein or whatever, right? That these things in reality happen to them. So what we had to start doing is concerning ourselves with putting fear in the girls. We're putting be whoever you want to be into the girls and instilling all this value of vigor in the girls, when in reality, if a man is 345 pounds and he's, 6'4", there's absolutely nothing you can do to me unless you have a firearm. You understand what I'm saying there? So you should be invoking fear more in the girls than you do the boys, but the opposite happens. They invoke fear in the boys. And the boys, they tell the boys, don't you go dating the white girls. They're going to get you in trouble. They're going to have you in court now. They'll appreciate, especially going to these rural areas like deep south or whatever. It's even improvised even more because of their history. You understand? So they'll be like, don't you mess with them white girls now? Don't you do that now? Or they'll tell you, don't you go over there and look that white man straight in his face. I've heard somebody say that before. Don't you look at white man in his face like that, like you better than him. I said, who the fuck teaches their kids some shit like that? But there's people that teach their kids stuff like this. You know what I mean? There's people on the opposite end that will teach their kids also in black culture to be too rebellious. You understand what I'm saying? So, like, for example, they'll teach their kids, yeah, when the police come, say, fuck that, da-da-da-da. You just put your son in fire's lane to get killed by the police for being irate and shit. You know what I mean? We don't have to define ourselves with race. We are all the same human beings. Listen, PHM, respectfully, don't come in here with that we are all the same bullshit or whatever. We just had a white man kill Charlie Kirk. You understand what I'm saying? And we're not all the same. Because at the smallest, forget the scale of race. This was on politics and ideals. So if somebody will kill somebody over politics and ideals, you have to even exempt race from the conversation with all that. We're all human beings or whatever, whatever. I get you, and that's all dandy and grand and a dream at 12 o'clock at night. You understand what I'm saying? But in reality, you know what I'm saying? Walking out, the only way we are the same is we are penetrable by the same demises. As far as we walk, and that's the part that needs to be highlighted. We are penetrable by the same demises. That makes us the same. Socially, no, we are not the same. You understand what I'm saying? And the only thing you have to do is go into listen, the Charlie Kirk epilogue itself has it defined. There were extremists that were coming at Charlie Kirk, including this man that killed him, or allegedly killed him, and they said, "You're not extreme enough, Charlie. You're not extreme enough, Charlie. We don't find you radical enough, Charlie. And since the fact that you want to take advantage of this movement that we have and speak the way that you want to speak, we must have to take you out." You understand what I'm saying? So you're going to see a lot of these murders and things like that start to gain momentum. This recently in Pennsylvania, I hope Night and Day is still here because I got to ask them about this. Down in Pennsylvania, there was 5 cops that were shot. Nobody's talking about that and highlight like they should be. But there was 5 cops shot down there. I believe 3 of them died and 2 of them were on life support in stable condition, though. This happened not even 2 days ago. Prior to that, they had caught a 13-year-old who had multiple weapons planning to shoot up. And I'm talking about high caliber weapons. You understand what I'm saying? Weapons that are hard for me to hold as an adult. You understand? Especially one of them. I was like, I know exactly what he has. Same thing. Rural. Easy to obtain a gun state. You understand what I'm saying? Follow what I'm saying here. Oh, it's a channel of misinformation. Oh, you must work for white supremacists. I got you. No, don't worry about it. I got you. Channel of misinformation. Is that so? Well, let's do this then. 13-year-old boy failed mass shooting. Since, this is misinformation. Oh, shit. This is funny. Took me 2 seconds. On September 9, 2025, authorities in Washington state arrested a 13-year-old boy for allegedly planning a mass shooting. Police were tipped off by social media posts where the teen had reportedly boasted about having weapons and intended to kill. The arrest is a recent example of a full plot involving a juvenile. The recent example, meaning there are others. You want to keep going on? Okay. Discovery of weapons. A search of the teen's home in Pierce County, Washington, uncovered a stockpile of 23 firearms, some of which were unregistered ghost guns made with a 3D printer. Can I continue? Ammunition and explosions. Police also seized ammunition, loaded magazines, and reference to past mass shootings like Columbine, and materials for making fireworks and explosives. Obsession with past shooters. The teen's bedroom's walls were covered with drawings and pictures of previous mass shooters, and investigators believe he idolized them. Want me to continue? Okay, let's continue. Obsession with charges. The boy was charged with multiple felonies, including making a threat and a bomb, injury to property, and illegal possession of firearms. He pleaded not guilty. Ain't that some shit? Source of the tip. The tip of the Pierce County Sheriff's Office led to the discovery. So if somebody wanted to tip them, he would have got caught. Now, if you don't believe me, you go look this up for yourself. It happened on September 9th, 2025. I don't know how well y'all can see that right there. Yeah, there you go. There you go. You could read it right there. Okay, there it is right there. Okay, since misinformation. But for God, you got me confused. I'm one of the best bloggers on here. And the reason I talk about what I talk about is because I know what I'm talking about, privy to when I talk about. This is not misinformation. Guys, would y'all please double tap the screen, hit the like button here? Crime does not define color. Crime is crime, evil is evil. If crime didn't be defined. See, you can't come in here making up things. Let's go to DOJ's website. You said crime does not define color. I agree with that. But let me show you something. I love when you guys talk like that, and I respect it. But this is the thing. When you talk like that, you have to understand that all these things are put into your face on a day-to-day basis. Hold on one second. To make it appear like that. You don't believe me? The Department of Justice, aka the DOJ, does arrest white men, often as part of federal investigations into crimes like sex offenses, white supremacist terrorism, and drug trafficking. This seems to be the three. Recent examples include the arrest of a white man in connection with a child sexual exploitation and indictment of members of the Telegram Collective for soliciting murders, and arrests of individuals tied to white supremacist street gangs involved. Child exploitation. In March 2024, undercover operation led to the arrest of a white man. This is from the Department of Justice. What I'm trying to tell you is, notice how they keep saying white man? Pay attention. Notice how they keep saying white man, white man, white man, white man. The very government that we live under recognizes color. They separate color. They put their crime statistics in color and gender form. You understand what I'm saying? So even though you may be truly in purity, may be against that, you have to look at what's in front of you. You understand what I'm saying? When we do demographics as far as Nielsen ratings, who watches TV, we do it by graphs. Those graphs inclusive of age range. Those graphs are inclusive of race. Those graphs are inclusive of what? Gender. We have programming that is bent in particular for females. We have programming that is bent in particular for older people. We have programming that is bent in particular for political files. We're a age-centric, gender-centric, race-centric country like no other that exists in the world. The only other place you'll find a set like this is in Brazil. And most of Brazil is black. He had, what'd you say, HBCUs were threatened to be bored. Is that true? The HBCUs, go look this up right now. Trump just elected a whole bunch of money towards HBCUs. Let me show you. Trump took the money from was supposed to be spent, I believe it was what was it? It was the money was supposed to be spent on the immigration stuff or whatever. And he toppled it into, I'll just read it here for you in 2 seconds. Yeah, this was 2 days ago. So let me read this for you. And because somebody asked me to read that. Guys, make sure y'all double tap the screen and hit the like button. Double tap the screen and hit the like button. The story has been updated. The Trump administration says it will direct $435 million to historically black colleges and universities and tribal campuses hold on one second. I want to make sure I read. This is September 16, 2025. Okay? So the Trump administration says it will redirect $435 million to historically black colleges and universities and tribal campuses as it funds grant programs for other minority students at their institution. On Monday, the Department of Education announced that it will invest more than $160 million in American history and civics education programs. The department says it also plans to get awards totaling over $500 million to charter schools. This week's announcement comes less than a week after the department said it will end approximately $350 million in discretionary funding to several minority-serving institutions that discriminate by conferring government benefits exclusively to institutions to meet racial and ethnic quotas. Among the institutions defunded are the Hispanic-serving institutions and predominantly black institutions, which are different from HBCUs. HBCUs are colleges and universities founded before 1964 with the intention to serve black communities. PBIs are campuses that with about half the student body identifying as black or African American, such as Chicago State University, Georgia State University, and the Community College in Philadelphia. Nonprofit organizations work closely with HBCUs, celebrated the news, calling it a win for black colleges. The United Negro College Fund says it supports the reprogramming of funds in a statement. HBCUs are, and I can read that statement for you if you like me to. Here it goes right here. And this is what they're, now this was marked, when was this one? September 15, 2025. And this right here is literally from the NAACP, okay, and their response to what Trump did. Um, This morning, the Department of Education redirected $435 million to previous discretionary funding to historically black colleges and universities, aka HBCUs. We have added the existing appropriations approved by the Congress for HBCUs. The award is totaling now stands at 1.38. Excuse me, 380 million. Excuse me, $1.38 billion. Why did I say that like that? I'm sorry about that. $1.38 billion because it's like one part is at the top and then the other part is at the bottom, so it had me confused for a minute. But 1.38 billion. Now, you ain't gotta go over there and say thank you, Mouse of Trump, but goddamn, like the nigga from Queens sometimes. What y'all saying in here? Do you think Kamala should run again in the future? I think she did pretty good in a short amount of time. I think Kamala Harris, if you think she did good in a short amount of time, I'll give you this example. Tell me how much she, and I'm talking to, who was that? Nicole Howard. Write in the chat room how much that broad spent on promotion and how much she paid to get Megan Thee Stallion to twerk on stage. And you tell me if you think that would have been somebody good to handle a budget, all right? Just write in the chat how much money she spent on her campaign money and how the rest of her constituency was even complaining about the amount of money she spent. Native Americans run gamut from Alaska to Brazil to Mike Yancey. It's the whites that came in and destroyed and killed. I mean, yeah, but you hear, right? What's going on, old girl? How you doing? Old girl, can you do me a favor? Because you know me. Can you write my Cash App in there so I can pin it? Most of these people, they don't know me, so they ain't going to do it for me. They won't even hit the like button. Guys, make sure you double tap the screen and hit the like button. And feel free to hit up the Cash App if you like anything that I'm saying. To an extent, color does matter for certain reasons biologically. Black people must know who they are as a whole. And I don't do all that shit, Estrella Holmes. That's not what I'm talking about. Estrella Holmes, if you're still here, I want to send in on something. You know the number one problem that you'll see in African American culture and a lot of indigenous cultures, like somebody just wrote something in here about Indians, and I respect it, but this ain't them years. You live in a digital world, and this whole talk about we was queens and we was kings and all that shit was well off in the 1995s and 2000s when niggas was running around with African beads and talking about power to the people and all that shit. And I'm not saying there's not a space for that. There's definitely a space for that. But it can't be the totality of the space. And what has happened is in the past 10 years via YouTube specifically, some of these personalities have gotten up here and they have made that the premise of every conversation. We was kings, we was queens. Look, what's the other trope they use? Look what they hid from us. What they didn't want us to know. It's your motherfucking responsibility to know it. Let me tell you why I say this. Because some of these old motherfuckers that's 55 and 60 years old is online trying to preach like they some leaders. Motherfucker, we from the same fucking periods and eras. I'm in my late 40s now. And I remember when people was in the 90s and they was wearing them African beads and people was into these discussions and all that shit or whatever. And the only thing you did was copy and paste with some of them real motherfuckers that was out there in the streets, that was out there on 125th, on Lexington. You only copy and pasting what they're saying and then bringing it to online and acting like it's something new because the audience that's listening to you is younger and they've never heard it before. You might be fooling them, but you ain't fooling me, motherfucker. That's why I come at some of these people like this. I'm like, you trying the same fucking like trope they were doing back then. But the difference was those people meant it. Those people were involved in that because of pure simple fact, that's what their heart told them to do. Their heart told them to go help the people. And they come from a generation of people that was before them that did the same thing. You understand? So, and I see it now as that was the measure. Let me explain to you. There's some internet personalities that were here, not only on this app, but many other apps. And what they started doing was most of the time, men that were mad at society on their own, they invoked their anger. I got you, the old gal. Just give me 1 second. They invoked their anger into conversations. So where they could have just simply sat online and said, listen, this is how you financially get ahead. they started dousing some of their hate into the conversations. But what it did was, and if you listen to these kids, there's one kid I got a video on my page of him, and he's talking about how he left one of the groups that one of these men had that were part of this whole cycle here. And what they've told these kids was, which is very different from the pro-black stuff that was before, was they didn't teach about hate. These kids are being led in, they have been led for the past 10, that'd be 2015. Let's just say the first time I started seeing some of these personalities was around about 2011, 2012. So I'm gonna say around there. So if you're white, you might want to listen to this, because this is the counter of what they are accusing people of. If we're going to accuse Charlie Kirk, then we got to talk about these black supremacists too, because they exist too. And ultimately, in the end, some of these people are going to be pointed out more than others. Trust me when I tell you this. I see it coming. It's just a matter of time. Same way they came at Umar. Umar, you better be glad they got you first out the way. Put it that way, because they ain't got no more to answer. Umar, trust me, you'll be back. Don't worry about it. Just sit it out for a minute. Stay offline. You'll be back. Trust me on this. They'll miss you. And trust me, about the rest of them, oh, no. No, I've never been the Nation of Islam, but please don't come in here and not say hi to me and asking me questions. Don't ever come in here and you have not spoke to me and you're asking me questions. First time, last time. Now, like I was saying, what you have with these groups is, and it wasn't groups, it's actually individuals. We watched Brother Polite go to jail. We watched Dr. Malachi York go to jail. We watched, who else? A couple of other ones get locked up, go to jail, something or another happened to them or whatever. So you saw the demon that was actually in them be invoked. Is that fair? Now, these particular men, oh, I forgot about our brother Elijah. I'll just put it that way. If you know what I'm talking about, you know who I'm talking about. Jungle Man, what was his name? Nature Boy. All these motherfuckers claimed that they were so, what's the name? Now I'll take Elijah out of this, but I'll say the rest of them, they because he had white people in his camp and everything like that too. They were more naturists and weirdos than anything, but and freaks. Oh, it was all kinds of STDs running through that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? If it was saying, he's bound to get burnt. You know what I'm saying? But if you're not familiar with these people, Nature Boy and his people, they went down to a couple of the islands and set up things or whatever, and had like a community, if you want to call it. You got to be very privy of these communities because some of them are no good. But anyway, these guys all went to jail ultimately. Now, with the exception of this guy, thank you very much. I appreciate it. NEO, double tap the screen. Yeah, please double tap the screen and like the video, y'all. Double tap the screen and like the video, and make sure you hit up the Cash App. I don't promote my Cash App much, man, but I need money just like everybody else. I'm broke right now. You know what I'm saying? For real. And usually when people donate, I take you on location, whatever. I just did Trump Tower last week. I'll share that in a minute again, or whatever, instead of my piece about that. But I appreciate y'all double tapping the screen, hitting the like button at the very least, and make sure you support the channel and hit the Cash App. These guys and these personalities that have been online for about, I'm going to say 14, 15 years, your kids grew up with them, and they listened to them. And a lot of the diatribe that these black men had is based in racism. But you have to ask yourself, what they hadn't realized was, where they were preaching this racism, which many of adult men don't realize, is this. As you're preaching this racism, do you not realize you're preaching it to children? And these are children that don't know the difference between right and wrong yet, really. You understand what I'm saying? That's why I said, like, if you're going to date younger, don't date no younger than 28, because a chick, and I'm saying if you're an older man, because a chick ain't even going to understand or start figuring out life until 28. You understand what I'm saying? So if you're between the age of 18, 19, 25, and you're not heading out in the world, this is all your moments of decision making. You understand what I'm saying? Building who your character is, building who you are as a person, etc., etc. And so if a person comes out into the world and the first thing he says is they're going to get a job, but he's always got a mentality, oh, this is a white man, they're going to do me wrong. I know they're going to do me. I got to call up brother such and such and let him know, and the blah, 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 right? You're always going to be in a cycle of getting hired and fired. hired and fired, hired and fired, because your ideology supersedes your ambition and they collide. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I'm going to say this honestly and truthfully to you. I know about 4 personalities right now that call themselves in the pro-black sector, and I've seen nothing other than hustling black and Latin people for money. And they will suggest to other people, well, don't go donate to that person because they're a small part. Anytime I hear somebody say, these small podcasters, I said, that's a motherfucker that looks at himself as he's better than everybody else. You understand what I'm saying? Like, if you constantly, frequently saying that, like, I'll say that sometimes too. I'll be like, this motherfucker got 30 followers. I got 30,000. That's one thing. But if you're using it as a premise to brag and seize control, I got a lot of followers. I got a lot of subs. That's why I don't believe in that shit. I had 400 people in here when I started. You notice it's dumbed down? That's why. Because they're now all going to agree with your ideologies. My point is, they've been teaching these kids hate for years. So now these kids are out here in the adult world, and they're realizing a lot of stuff that these men, as adult men, and 35 plus at the time when they were preaching it, or 30 plus when they were preaching it, these same men, they don't realize, well, I was an adult going through those situations. And the situations I was going through sometimes are dependent on demographic versus actually being out in all U.S. society. Meaning this, if I go into a store in New York, you understand what I'm saying? It's very different if I go into a corner store in Mississippi. If I go into a corner store in Mississippi, it's very different and be going to a corner store in Miami. If I go to a corner store in Miami, it's very different than me going to a corner store in California. If I go to a corner store in California, it's very different from me going to a corner store in Colorado, and so are the risk. The risk may be your own in most of those locales that I spoke about. If you this color, the risk may be your own, not white folks, your own. Now, I'm an old gunslinging, standing on the corner, used to have a beeper ass motherfucker. There's time for it and all that shit. You understand what I'm saying? So I can tell you for a fact, I know those elements have not changed, because these motherfuckers, back then we had pistols, and the biggest thing we had was a shotgun. These motherfuckers out here with multiple caliber. Did you hear what I read about that little white motherfucker? You know what I'm saying? He was 13. So my point is somebody that came from that and done that, or whatever the case may be, these kids have no fear. And that's going to be a big mistake for you. When you have no fear, you make mistakes. When you have no fear, you come into conversations or you come into spaces, you already perceive yourself as, I've got to have a situation where I'm a victim in this. But hold up. It used to just be one person in the room that would do that. Now it's multiple people in the room to do that. That's why you see this synergy and this linear fashion of everybody want to be a victim. There's empathy in victimhood. There's money in victimhood. I don't do victimhood on here. I'd rather look at you in the camera and say, fuck you and fuck everybody who live in your house. That's me. You know? Very true indeed. Demographics definitely make a difference. Hope your day is amazing. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Are you speaking up in his favor or for fear of retaliation? I don't know. I just said earlier on my page, and I'll say to you again, if you ain't donated, hit the like button, but at the very least said hello to me. I'm not one of these vloggers, and I want you to understand this. I'm not one of them vloggers. You just gonna come in here and question me as if I'm underneath you. You got more experience than me, or whatever the case may be. I'm not that guy. You're not talking to an unaccomplished man. You're not talking to somebody who lives in the midst of poverty. So watch how you talk to me. We don't do that shit. We don't do that. Are you speaking in his favor or fear of retaliation? Take you and your conspiracy theories and exit stage right. We don't do conspiracy theories. We have to try to be, not to be so tribal. I think that's the problem. This tribalistic shit is outweighing reality. Get me? For example, you can't be Hakeem and on Monday morning you got to go back to Walmart to go to work, or you got to go back to McDonald's to go to work, historically white-owned establishments. And at the same time, right? Let's hear me out. At the same time, sit back as Hakeem, you know what I mean? And be like, yo, power to the people, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, these white folks, they taking us down, man. They keeping us down, man. But you work at Walmart. You're typing all this on Google ran YouTube. You're streaming on Google Young YouTube about black people gotta get free. One of your most famous dudes out here that talks the most about black liberty and all that shit. You're on one of the most white-owned websites there is, where you're the most popular. Not only that, but white people are coming at the owner of that motherfucking establishment. White folks are coming at him. You know what I'm saying? For being racist. So, you know, you get a lot of these black people that scream, and white people too. I'll get back to y'all in a minute. But you got a lot of these black people leading these kids in the wrong fucking direction for the world they're gonna be fucking facing. And a lot of these guys have been online for 10 or 15 years. 2 or 3 of them with that are really quasi-Republican capitalists that pretend like they're pro-black. They're not pro-black. You're a capitalist. I worked for millionaires for fucking 17 years. You're a fucking capitalist. You know what I'm saying? And it's okay. But just be who you are. Don't give these kids the imaginary grains that... And then when you ask a couple of them, how many millionaires have you made? I can't think of some of these YouTubers that, and I'm talking about, I'm not a YouTuber. Let me give you an example. I'm not the guy that sits around and I'm like, yo, I can save your life. I can help you out. I can show you how to make $1 million. Yo, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. I'm not that guy. I've never had any rhetoric like that at all. What I try to do is I try to give people example, whatever. They don't want to hear that. They don't even want to congratulate you on that, donate to you on that, or whatever. It has gotten so to a point that in the black spectrum, and this is why I've elected to kind of stay away from it a little bit, is you can't move into that spectrum unless you're gossiping about somebody or you're trying to take down somebody or whatever. And I'm just thinking, where did this mentality come from? Because not even 7 years ago did this shit exist like that. Once again, I believe from woke culture, society, and cancel culture. So whether it be Jimmy Kimmel, whether it be Diddy or whoever else may be, this is a mentality. You understand what I'm saying? Somebody said something I didn't like, so now I'm going to play a victim because it's insensitive or whatever. I don't think Jimmy Kimmel should have been fired. You know what I think? I think Jimmy Kimmel should have been left on there, and if he kept on doing the same shit, let him dig his own funeral. Let him dig his own. You understand? We have to be decent to each other, or our society will collapse. It's well on its way to it, Amberly. Anto, good content. Thanks a lot, man. Make sure you hit the like button, guys. Double tap the screen, hit the like button. Double tap the screen, hit the like button. Thank you, WLLM. Appreciate that. And make sure y'all hit up the Cash App, man. It's there, man. Facts. Here in Alabama, it's a coin toss. LOL. Every race is usually really nice, or they're looking at you like, get the fuck out of here, depending on which store you go in. And that's the way it is in Connecticut, too. Like, in Connecticut, it depends on where you're at in Connecticut. Like, I find if you're more closer to the other end of the state, I live on the southern end of the state, but if you're on the northern end of the state, that's more so where we have racism. Like, I'll give you an example. Kid Rock, y'all know him? Go to Google right now and put in Kid Rock performing in Hartford, Connecticut with Confederate flag on the stage. Kid Rock performing in Hartford, Connecticut with Confederate flag on the stage. And I don't want you to pay attention to the Confederate flag. What I want you to pay attention to is how big the audience was for that Confederate flag and Kid Rock in the Northeast. A lot of people under the mistake that the Northeast didn't want slavery. No, they were just less hesitant and appropriated to it. New York had slaves. Connecticut had slaves. They sold to Jersey. They were first to abolish it, but they had slaves here. The followers, I've seen some of that content. It's nonsense. 2 people I follow you, sir, and a gentleman called Hulk, which has been an attorney for a very long time. I'm a civil rights, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. This version of civil rights that they have going on, or pro-black shit they got, is bullshit. It's all the Latin in their pockets. I have a question. How do we get people not to encourage violence? It's too late. It's too late. It's too late. When you have people that think that they're victims, like there's a saying, watch who you pick on. Because the nigga that you pick on, you might think he's a punk or whatever. 3rd, 4th day after you picking on him, he comes back to you with a pistol and you're out of here. See what I'm saying? So we know in the New York City tri-state area, watch who you talking to, because most of the time, the people that you think are small time or the people you think won't do something to you, those are the niggas that do something to you. Like in some people's cities, I guess you say the pretty boys or whatever, or people that look a certain way, look clean cut, they won't do nothing to you. Up here is the total opposite. Niggas just clean cut, those are the niggas that'll be the first to do something to you. You know what I'm saying? Even more so before the rough niggas will. The rough dudes, and this is go for white dudes, black dudes, Spanish dudes, all this is a mentality. All right. The guys, like it'll be the same thing. You dealing with some of the white guys, and you think, oh, he looks like a punk. Look at him, man. He's got cute clothes on and the blah, 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 blah. Next thing you know, this same guy, he pulls out a can of whoop ass on you, like, oh my God, Brent just whooped his ass. And you're like, well, what the fuck happened? Brent just whooped my ass. Because Brent has been practicing Taekwondo for the past 20 years. And you thought because he was pretty, nothing would happen. It's one of the dumbest mentalities ever, and it goes to show me something. You've only been around, quote unquote, gangsters that live in your apartment building. You've only been around gangsters. See, I've been with connected motherfuckers for real, for real. I made the front page of the paper. You understand what I'm saying? I was really into it. And the guys I was with made hundreds of thousands of dollars, not tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is duly noted by the police themselves in an article. So make no mistakes about it. I was with the real ones. You understand what I'm saying? So I say that as not as a bragging rights, but what I say it is I was with what one point they called an organization. You know what I mean? And was not me, but some of my comrades were included in what you now call what a RICO is. You know what I'm saying? Because it was labeled as an organization. Luckily, that didn't go all the way through, and everything panned its way out. And good thing some of my comrades made it through. But my point is, I wouldn't go out here teaching kids that shit. I would never go out here teaching kids that shit. But there's people out here, older dudes specifically, that will go out here and teach kids shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And watch them make mistakes. It's like there was dudes back then when we was coming up that did the same thing to us. It's a cycle. And when I tell you it's a cycle, I mean the same thing with this racism shit that's boiling up, telling everybody, we got to separate it. How the fuck are you going to separate yourself as a black American from white American society? Even if you go to build your own fucking, like these people to go to build their own, this is a black or this is a white, because there was one in Arizona, this is a white village. Okay, well, motherfucker, you still had to go to the government to get all them zoning permits. You still had to go to the same government to get, you know what I'm saying? It becomes retarded at a minute to put a race on top of it when you living under the same guidelines. Oh, okay, well, you can be a white town, but you still got to pay your taxes. Okay, you could be a black town, but you still got to get these zoning permits. You're susceptible to the same shit that everybody else is. So it's really a waste of time. And it goes to show the extremity, and it puts you out of privy for a lot of people because there's a lot of black people that don't want to deal with racist black people. There's a lot of white people that definitely historically have not want to deal with racist white people. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why I said living here in Connecticut, I know for a fact all white people are not racist, but we all hold our own in particular biases. That is what it is. Okay, I don't kick my ass out the entire. No, I ain't kicking you out of here, man. Loving the combo, by the way. I'm cracking up and getting schooled at the same time. That's what's up. Y'all just make sure y'all hit that like button for me if y'all can. I'm not going to stop. Thank you very much, Ahmad. I appreciate that. That's my dog right there. Ahmad, I'm glad you goddamn it here. Look here, man. I don't know if you ever seen this thing right here. Y'all give me 2 seconds. This is Ahmad L. And he actually, this piece that I'm using right here. You see this right here, Playboy? Look at this. You see it's turning, right? It's turning. You know what I'm saying? Like Chris Rock, it's spinning, nigga, it's spinning. You know what I mean? No hands and nothing. So this is my piece that I got right here. You know what I'm saying? I did an unwrapping of it or whatever. This is the piece that you pay for, and it's basically it ain't basically, it is AI, and so it has a separate camera, and wherever I move, it moves with me. So I'm loving this thing right here, man. I got 2 lights right here. I mean, I show people this is my old ring light, y'all. The thing got so hot, I finally figured it out. It got so hot that this started to melt the plastic. And the plastic made it bent over. And one day I was screaming and just the whole damn thing just slumped over. It didn't break. It just slumped over. And I was like, what the fuck? And then it broke. I was like, so I was a minute without it. But I got the official joint now. I can travel with this. the base on the tripod part has anti-wind resistance to it, so there's like a bolt and a bearing underneath it. I'm gonna take a picture of this thing after, but I've got 2 lights on the side, 2 mini little lights. Matter of fact, I can unhook one of these to show you that because these come apart. So on the sides, it's 2 brackets. Well, he helped pay for this, so I'm gonna explain this to him because unless you donate it to me, you ain't got none part of this conversation to deal with. And so, see, it's got 2 of these little mini lights right here. It's turning as I'm doing it, but hold on, let me show so I can get a little bit further back. But you can see it's got these 2. There we go. It's got these 2 little mini lights, and I could I could use this up right up under my face like this if I want to. I can just, you know what I mean? I could stream like that. But I'm loving this thing right here. It's like it's so dope because like I can, you know what I mean? I can move wherever I want to and still be talking to you guys and everything like that. So to me, it's a big deal. To some other people, it may not be a big deal, but to me, it's a big deal. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you. Thank you very much, man. I ended up paying $63 for this joint. And I was like, yo, but I love the fact that it's portable. Like, this thing closes down so small, it would blow your mind. It really would. But thank you very much for that. Let me pin that right there. Okay, I got a pin. Guys, make sure y'all hit up the Cash App and support the channel. Nice light, and yeah, thank you very much. You have a platform. Make sure you are saying the right thing. I know what I'm talking about. God is real. That's not the conversation we're having in here, Strella. I don't know what you're talking about, but I got you. Ahmad L, thanks. That's what's up. That's what's up. Good stuff. Glad I could help. Hell yeah, I'll be using this stuff all the time. Sometimes I cut off because, like, see, like, let me show you what I mean. Sometimes I cut it off though because, and you got to keep it highly charged. That's one thing I do know, because it'll work for about a good 2 hours. Because I had it on for 2 hours one day. It didn't die till like 2 hours and 10 minutes out. But as you can see, wherever I move, it moves. You know what I mean? But it has this little stick thing with a camera. You just have to balance it the right way because it said that in the instructions. So it has to pinpoint. So like, when I start to stream, I have to hold my face here, and that part of my face it highlights on. But you have to recalibrate. I'm gonna cut it off for right now, but I just want to make sure he saw that. I was like, yeah, make sure you let him know he ain't pay for no garbage. Let me show you how high this thing lifts. Matter of fact, I should lift it up higher anyway. That's better. You know what I mean? I like the sub to you. I appreciate it, Amberly. We have to laugh in this nation of laughter to overcome fear. We have to laugh, but at the same time, we have to be on point. Let me tell you something. Don't you hesitate. That's going to be my new words for you. After you've seen what happened to Charlie Kirk, don't you hesitate. And I want to put you on to something real here for all Americans. We have hit a time in this country where you can't be a pussy. Men. I'm talking specifically to the men. Ladies, sit back for a minute. We're going to get back to y'all. There's a lot of men out here nowadays that are softer than baby ass. Let's just say it how it is. All right. A lot of y'all been raised by single moms, black, white, and Latin all alike. All right. And you're softer than a baby ass. And that's a problem. Because we got a nation of women now who feel in fear and everything else of some of these same perverts that I see sometimes come in here on my channel and discuss all kinds of nasty, disgusting shit to me until they find out real quick I ain't the one to do it with. Now, what I'm saying to you, man, is as you move forward, you're going to realize that just like that man that took out Charlie Kirk, make no mistake about it, he had a little small army behind him. And whether it be the routers or the gropers or whoever the hell else it may be, the point of this is there's other people behind him. Do you not understand what I'm saying? And just like Charlie Kirk's wife was replaced as now the CEO behind his own wishes, we're going to have somebody to replace that shooter by their own wishes. Please pay attention to me. So even though the problem is over, it will still exist. Y'all thought that the school shooting was over, and it was the same thing. Then we had the Charlie Kirk shooting. There will be another one. You have people now with the mentality that they could do what thy wilt, as Aleister Crowley once mentioned. And I think these times were predicted. I think they are here. And I think the only sovereign way to deal with it is the way that Trump is kind of going about it. You have to reinstitute law and order. See, a lot of people are confused and they say, well, I don't like the way things are going right now because, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I think it's unfair, whatever, whatever. But what you're not realizing is before, I say 2000, well, before Barack Obama's constituency, these things already existed. Yeah, they did. They already existed. Most of the things that you were getting in fear of already existed. See, I don't have no problem with putting, you know how many kids, a lot of people talk about Chicago, right? And they talk about, I don't think it's fair that they sent the National Guard in there, whatever, whatever. I want you to enter in how many children, black children, were killed in Chicago this year. Shall I put it in? I'll put it in for you. Let's put in how many black, and then you'll watch by how many people, and pay attention, people. You'll see how many people give a damn and how many don't. Just watch. How many black kids were killed in Chicago so far? 2025. Let's see what we got here. So, determining the precise number of black children killed in USA is difficult for this year. But killed in Chicago. Hold on one second. That's even sad right there. Let me put Chicago in specifically. Jesus Christ, that was scary right there. They said gun violence has decreased, but there's no number. The number of homicides in June 2025 was 36. That's crazy. Let me see if I can get 2024's numbers. That makes sense because the fiscal year is not over yet, so they won't have the data available, but they will have it for 2024. And even here, they try to hinder the data. So we're going to have to look for an article. Adults murdering kids, kids murdering adults, random bullets killing kids. Here we go. This was dated January 14th, 2025. This is the most recent one they had, but this is how the top of the year started out. It's becoming another defining feature in Chicago's fall from greatness. Adults murdering kids, kids murdering kids, random bullets killing kids. The Cook County medical examiner has what should be the final count for youth homicides in 2024. 91 kids aged 19 and under were killed in Chicago in 2024. 91 kids aged 19 and under were killed in Chicago in 2024, including a 5-year-old girl and 2 7-year-old boys. They're here. They have the wear points, as they call them. I'll let y'all see that. Let me turn this off for a second. I want y'all to see this. This is literally a list of every last one of those homicides, how they happened and everything else. I don't know how well y'all can see that. I'll let you zoom in a little bit more. You can see. '91. And so you can see it for yourself. 91 kids under the age of 19. 91. No, we don't need no National Guard in here. We can handle it ourselves. Bullshit. And I wish people would start planting the idea, this is disrespectful to Chicago cops. Stop that punk shit. There's some good men out there in Chicago. I know this for a fact because I got family out there in Joliet, right next door to Chicago. There's some good people out there in Chicago. There's some men out there that are black men that are on the streets day in and day out trying to change those kids, and they can't change those kids because at this point it's generational. Chicago has had those problems out there since the 1970s, and then it reformed itself again in the 1990s and 2000s when they started tearing down the projects like Cabrini Green and all those. As a result, you got a lot of people that got moved out into little small townies, like what's the one called? Dalton, Joliet, where my cousin and them live at. They used to formerly live in Chicago. He said, truth and facts, I'm here. Hey, thank you. They tore down the projects out there. And and what they should have done was going into those projects and reestablish them. They could have did a lot of things that would have been cheaper, in my opinion, but they didn't. They said, nah, we want to get the niggas out. Now, as they got the niggas out of there, which they did, they put them into all these surrounding counties. And so what happened was, in my opinion, because my cousin told me this all the time, shout out to you, Camilla. They'll say, she told me, she said, what happens is some of the violence is now spread out to those towns where it used to not be at least at that veracity. You understand what I'm saying? Meaning like you beefing with some dudes in the north side of Chicago, south side of Chicago, wherever, and they traveling out to Dalton, they traveling out to Joliet and all these other little towns that's around Chicago to motherfucking get at you because of some shit you did over the weekend in Chicago. It's crazy. Get out of here, you old. Is a troll in here? Where they at, Mark? Stop that crazy shit. He never said he didn't. I said I didn't believe in God. Who's Estrella Holmes? Where's she at? Where's she at? She was just nice a few minutes ago. I see you do not include God in none of this, so I'm out. Okay, well, bye, Stella. And don't come back. I don't involve God in any of this. Let me tell you about people like that. I will involve God in this part right here. It's not going to be the way you think it is. You can have faith in a lot of things, but if you don't have action behind your faith, it's nothing. You need an example of it? In the story of Dracula, right? It was a movie with that. And many of y'all have seen this. And every time you'll sometimes see these Dracula movies where the priest, he pulls out the cross, and it doesn't work on the Dracula. And the priest will be surprised that it doesn't work. He said, Father, you've lost your faith. You lost your faith. See, it's very easy to talk about God and everything like that or whatever, but if you're not living by that or you're dealing in absolutes, that's not of God. You said, well, you're not talking about God, so I'm out of here. Bitch, are you getting the message? That's the point. God delivers messages in all kinds of ways or whatever. So instead of embracing what I was saying, she became a narcissist, which is not a way of God. I'm not hearing what I want to hear, so I'm out. This is people that are in that woke mentality. I keep trying to tell you that. They start nice, then they act like it's their place. Yeah, it's crazy, right? You see that. Everyone welcome here, disrespecting hosts not acceptable. Facts. Thank you, Mark. And Okele says, not Dracula. I never heard him say that. I didn't say that. I didn't say that, the old gal. She just made up stuff. Because when I talk about God on here, they don't even want to hear it. Estella, yeah, don't worry about Estella. Estella gone. She ain't never coming back. I blocked her. You know, when they get them in the preschool, these babies don't see color. Exactly. It's amazing. They got this video. I like what Silvio said. They got this video of a black kid and a little white kid, and they're running at each other, whatever. And they give each other a big hug. These two little boys, and they're best fucking friends. You ever seen that video? These kids didn't think racism is taught, separatism is taught, genderism is taught. It's taught. You know, you need an example? Go right now and look up Hitler's youths. Go right now and look up Hitler's youths. You'll find what I said is exactly the truth. They see friends and we have parent meetings. This is what we tell them. We don't separate our children. That's ridiculous. But people do. There are people that do. Love your background of the Kirk family. Yeah, I wanted to put his wife up there. You know, I wanted to put his wife up there. Who said that? More. I wanted to put his wife up there because that's his wife and his baby. You know, and that man, like, I don't care what he said. Like, I've heard what he said. And that's why I get these newfound people that be out here every time. Yeah, Charlie Kirk this, and I'm a Charlie Kirk expert. How? And you've never spoken about him before. If he was that much of a threat, you thought he was that much of a problem, you've never spoken of him before. And it's just, it kills me when they come in, they don't do any research. They just say he was a stern racist and blah, 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 blah. And I pointed it out before, and I'm going to play some of these videos. I said the women are mostly the ones that are saying it, but it's not this normal type of woman that has rationality, black, white, polka dot, or whatever, because there's white women online saying it too. But it's this type of brand of woman that's like a victim in every situation. And if the situation doesn't have to do with victimhood, she really doesn't want to hear about it, and it's kind of confusing. You know what I mean? I better be careful before I get blocked or canceled, says a black woman. Yeah, well, you know what? They can do what they want to. Let me see if anybody's hit the cash out. Let me see that. Let me see that. That's what we be concerned about. Thank you very much, Mike. Thank you very much, Phil, too. Thank you, guys. At least I got 2 donations. How about that? You know what I'm saying? Guys, make sure y'all double tap the screen and hit the like button. I care about all lives, too, and that's why I talk about a little bit of everything. I like to not sub to you. I appreciate that. Guys, make sure y'all hit the like button, double tap the screen, hit the like button. Also, make sure that you hit up the Cash App. I appreciate that if y'all could. Loving the combo, by the way. Jaquan, why don't you open your own store, an African American store? Beat the system. Don't complain. You got a job. Yeah, you know, and that's a funny thing too. You know, a lot of times when you get African Americans to open up, I've seen this African American men that open up stores. They usually generally hire their friends, you know, or people that's close in their neighborhood. I can respect that. But the women, on the other hand, I'm noticing that they, and this goes in all this goes in all races. I've noticed, and nowadays, I notice that the women, when they start up their own businesses, they only want to hire more women, and I think that's a mistake because you can't, you know, sometimes in the animal world, right? We're mammals. In the animal world, there are groups of animals in the mammal world that the women literally are stronger than the men. The women lead the pack or the herd. You see this with hyenas. And I'm not making a comparison. I'm telling you the truth, genealogically why. And it's funny because you know they all like in the case of the ones that lead the herd with the females, they lead a couple different positions or whatever when it comes to hyenas. One of them is almost inclusive of hunting. You understand what I'm saying? So they do it in a pack. You don't have the pack mentality unless it's in victimhood. It seems nowadays in African American culture, and that's fearful because you can't use that moving forward. You understand? Being fearful makes you susceptible to a whole bunch of different treatment that normally you're not supposed to have. You know what I'm saying? It really does. What else y'all saying in here? Guys, make sure y'all double tap the screen and hit the like button. You got 3, you look better again. All right. Yeah, that's so true. Thanks, Dio. Appreciate you. More blessings coming your way soon, Dan. Appreciate you hearing the truth and facts. I had no problem, man, every time. Sorry I have to go, but I'll leave my donations at the door. Thank you, old gal. I appreciate it. Salute to you too, mama. And guys, make sure y'all double tap the screen and hit the like button. Double tap the screen and hit the like button. We ain't done yet. We ain't done yet. They have 2 kids now. That was the first one. She is so they got 2 kids. See, I thought they just always promote the one. LOL, that's my favorite vampire in Brooklyn. I love that movie. They need to remake that. David, I'm still here. Just listen because I'm driving. Got you, Amberly. I never heard David Lewis say that he did not. I've never said that. In fact, I'm the one, if you remember, I pointed out, I said, when I was talking about gossiping specifically, I said there's over 120 passages in the Bible against gossiping. Did you know that? And it was just funny because nobody was involved. Like, I had people literally drop out the conversation when I've mentioned God on my channel. I've mentioned God on my channel a lot. And so, yeah, it's just some people, that's just the way they are. Let's keep moving. I ain't worried about that. You know what I'm saying? And thank you to the people that are hitting the Cash App, support my channel. Make sure you hit the Cash App, $STRINGERBELL80. There's also a link there. If you don't have Cash App, it'll sign you up and give you $5 once you make your first donation or whatever. If you don't have Cash App, go to one of my older videos and look in the description box, and there'll be a link there for Venmo and PayPal. Just go to one of my old live videos. It'll be right there in the description box. So you can lose that. I forgot to copy and paste it earlier, whatever. Plus, nobody really uses the Venmo and PayPal. People ask me to get a different form, and I did it, and it's like nobody's used it yet. They always use the cash. I meant look again. Okay, got you. Thank you to old gal. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. I just went there. I liked every last one of you guys, especially the old gal always hold me down. Ahmad L always hold me down. They be like my certain people that just mess with me, and I appreciate y'all so much. Like, I'm not rich. So they got a rumor on here. He rich. He live in that part of Connecticut. No, the fuck I don't. So I'm telling these motherfucking lies. I ain't rich. Shit. You know what I'm saying? No. So I want to play something for you guys. Like I said, it's going to be a longer show than normal or whatever. And sometimes I have to look at myself too. A lot of people don't think that self-evaluation is sometimes the best things. Now, I said that I wanted to talk about something that really grabbed me. But first, I have to play this. Now, I'm going to throw Candace Owens in this conversation. And I know a lot of y'all ain't going to like that. But Candace is from this area here in Connecticut. So fuck all that. Same thing with Myron from Fresh and Fit. Fuck all that. You understand what I'm saying? If you're from the nutmeg, you're getting smoked on. You understand? And I'm not speaking on her in the wrong way either. it's right, pretty much really going to surprise a lot of you what I'm about to say. There we go, right there. Because I've never spoken bad about her. Matter of fact, hold on one second, because I want to make sure one particular person is here while I'm talking about her. Give me 1 second, guys. The conversation in particular is about Charlie Kirk, and I think this should be heard. And I don't do conspiracy theory. What I have done in the past and what I do now is explain to you. We'll continue to listen while driving. Got you. So this is what Candace Owens had to say, and it makes a lot of sense. And I want y'all to hear it, okay? I want y'all to hear it for yourselves. And I'm going to turn this off right here so you can see it as well, because I want you to see what I'm playing. I don't want you to just hear what I'm playing. I want you to see what I'm playing. And Candace, I'm playing this because you need to be held down real quick. Let me just turn this up.
This is what happened. Something made its way around the entire town and into my tips line repeatedly. It is a very clear image of Tyler Robinson, allegedly taken, I'll say allegedly for safety here, but it's looking right according to my timeline, allegedly taken at 6:38 p.m. at a nearby Dairy Queen. Here is that photo that we can show you. Just take a look at this photo. What is wrong with this picture? A lot is wrong with this picture. First and foremost, 6:38 p.m., you just shot someone. You have gone through great pains to hide your face, to change your outfit, but wait, you didn't fully change your outfit, did you? I'm looking at this photo, and you're wearing jeans, and you're wearing the maroon shirt. Now we have a 50-50 combo of the outfits, and now you're showing your eyes, and you're not fearful at all that you might be recognized. Also, wow, you must have quite the stomach. You don't have a record. Next thing you know, you shoot someone, and you're like, I'm just going to go have a meal. You don't seem to be too shaken or too upset. Something problematic is the location, by the way. We mapped this out. It's about 15 minutes away from the campus at a time when we're told that he's idling by, babysitting the rifle. So you can see, we're showing you, it's about a 17-minute drive away from the campus. So there should be a lot of footage then of this Dodge Challenger driving back and forth. Okay, and like I said, the biggest thing that jumps at me is he looks kind of content there. So he's got to be a full-blown psychopath, wearing half of what the feds told us he was wearing in the morning and half of what the feds told us that he was wearing during the shooting. Okay, so why did he text in this exchange at all and say that he changed outfits? When you just said, I changed my t-shirt, if that's the reality, you just changed your t-shirt and that was enough? Was it just a t-shirt that he changed? The outfit, again, as I sensed yesterday, has always been problematic. I feel the outfit was the Fed mistake. It never made any sense to say that he wore an outfit onto campus, light khaki shorts and a maroon shirt, and then decided to completely change hours later. Because why wouldn't you just change the t-shirt? That actually makes more sense. Every kid wears blue jeans. You don't have to change blue jeans or change out of khaki shorts to avoid detection. That's not going to go.
That's all you got to say. That's all you got to say, Candace. Because like I said, when it's folks that are talking sensibility, they don't want to hear us if you got a brown face. That's just how it go. You know what I mean? That's why you notice people were dropping off when I was playing Candace Owens. Now, y'all heard what she said, right? And most people will write her off and be like, "No, she don't know what she's talking about." Da, 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 da. Is that so? Well, here's an interesting article that I found. And this is from the New York Times, as you can see. Hold on, I'll let you see this real quick. And it gave us some perspective. Oops, my fault. Accidentally hit the button. Let me turn this away so I don't keep hitting the button. Hold on 1 second. So y'all can see this is from the New York Times. You see how this is paraphrased and everything like that. I want to make sure y'all see that so y'all know I'm not reading y'all no BS. Okay, cool. After Kirk's killing, suspect joked that his doppelganger did it. Once again, listen to what I said and listen to what Candace has said. After Kirk's killing, and Candace, this the town over here, this 203 over here, you heard? So listen to what I'm telling you. This is from the New York Times. After Kirk's killing, suspect joked that his doppelganger did it. Before he was arrested on suspicion of carrying out the assassination, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson sent friends messages showing that he was closely being followed by the news about the killing. The day after Charlie Kirk was killed, an acquaintance of Tyler Robinson posed a question to him in the group chat. The FBI had just released 2 grainy surveillance images of a skinny young man in a cap and sunglasses walking in the stairway in the Utah Valley University campus and had asked for the public's help in identifying the suspect. Tagging Mr. Robinson's username on Discord, a messenger platform, the acquaintance attached the images and wrote, "Where you at?" with a skull emoji suggesting that Mr. Robinson, 22, looked like he was the man being sought. Mr. Robinson replied within a minute. His doppelganger, he wrote, was trying to get me in trouble. I'll say that to you again. Mr. Robinson replied, which is Tyler Robinson, the one that's suspected in this killing. He said these words. Mr. Robinson replied within a minute. His doppelganger, he wrote, was trying to get him in trouble. Tyler killed Charlie, another user wrote, apparently in jest. That was on Tuesday afternoon around about 1 p.m. local time. It was not until later that night, nearly 34 hours later, after the shooting, that Mr. Robinson was arrested on suspicion of carrying out an assassination on Mr. Kirk, 31, a conservative pundit whose killing has inflamed the political world. The discourse messages were clearest glimpse yet of the suspect's demeanor in hours after the killing. They were shared with the New York Times by someone who knew Mr. Robinson in high school and has kept up with him in the group chat, which includes about 20 people. But he said he had not seen Mr. Robinson in person for several years. He spoke on condition that his name did not be used, fearing harassment for being an acquaintance of the suspect. The Times independently verified that the person who shared the screenshots attended high school with Mr. Robinson and found other indications that they knew one another. The screenshots were shared at the request of the Times. Discord confirmed that Mr. Robinson's username. The suspect is suspected to be formally charged by local prosecutors, blah, 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 blah. The point is, this man said, okay, yeah, after Mr. Robinson joked that the gunman was his lookalike, another user suggested that the group could turn Mr. Robinson in and get $100,000. His own group chat turned on him, if y'all don't get it. But it was funny because maybe they don't get it, and maybe Candace didn't get it either. So let me put you on, Candace. Sometimes people are so slick and think they're so smooth, they can project, especially if you're going to commit a crime like this, what they're going to do. No, listen to me. So let's say hypothetically, right? I'm going to do a hypothetical here for one time and one time only. But let's put together what Candace said. Candace said, literally hours after the shooting, not even minutes after the shooting had happened, he showed up at Dairy Queen. Just give me a quick synopsis. This was the same guy. He had changed his t-shirt, but everything else had remained the same on him, right? So somebody hits him based on this article and says, yo, the police are looking for you, whatever. Where you at? And first of all, whoever said where you at, that ain't your friend. That's the nigga that's going to tell on you. Right? For real. Anybody that call you in, they know what's going on. They say, yo, where you at? You know what I'm saying? Either the police right behind them or they're at the station. Just assume that. They either at the station with the lawyers trying to negotiate something, or they filming a scene for the next first 48. Anyway it goes, it matches what this article says. And I'm telling you why I say that. Because his man said, where you at, or whatever, and his reply was, my doppelganger did it. My doppelganger did it. And I said to myself, after watching that Luigi Mangione cocksucker the other day wiggle his way out of the shit he did, he think he's scot-free. Nah, they just did that because they want the federal charges on your motherfucking ass. They trying to fry your ass, nigga. You celebrate. No, they setting you up because they want to fry your ass. I'm dead ass serious. They gonna bring that electric chair down to the MDC. Fucking around. It was the reason I ain't go to that shit. Because I was like, I can't sit here in bed. I'll tell you about that in a minute, but let's stick here. I put together what Candace Owens is saying, And then I picked together what this motherfucker wrote back, and he said, "Oh, it wasn't me, it was my doppelganger." So if you change clothes, even slimly change clothes to alter your appearance, you might have done that with intention to give the eulogy and be able to fall back and say, yeah, that's what it was. My doppelganger did. I don't know where his whereabouts is now. I heard he went to Mexico. So you can fight back. Well, Your Honor, as you notice, my client doesn't have on the same t-shirt as the suspect. It's a totally different t-shirt. Oh, shit. All right. It's over. It's over. We got a mistrial. Mr. Robinson, you're free to go. Yeah, that's how that shit go. Mm-hmm. But Luigi, on the other hand, that ain't how his shit gonna go. Something gonna happen to Luigi. Trust me when I tell you this. That was something gonna happen to Pup. No, something's gonna happen to that nigga. Trust me. For real. Something's gonna happen to him. Trust me. Something is going to happen to him that he is not expecting. Trust me on that. There's a possibility that this man, Mr. Robertson, intentionally said what he said for the pure simple fact of one thing. He wanted to make sure that there was some type of alibi, that there was a possibility. Because, see, before you go out and, how can I say, before you go out and shoot a motherfucker, you also, that's the only way I know how to say it. Before you go out and shoot a motherfucker, you always got to realize there's a probability you're going to get caught. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even if you escape, there's a probability that sooner or later they're going to catch you. They caught Bonnie and Clyde. They killed them. You know what I'm saying? Shit, who else? Fidel, no. What was his name? Pablo Escobar. They came to his crib and killed him. You know what I'm saying? Like, right on the roof. You know what I mean? Imagine getting laid out on the roof of your crib. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't never even been on this roof before. I know it's not funny, but I'm just saying. You know, yeah, you don't get a pass on shit like this. You don't get a pass on shit like this. Nah. Yeah, not at all. Gipper too, I ain't trying to get too much in the business. I'm just saying. Oh, they gonna get rid of him. You know, when I went down there the first time, the reason I didn't go down there the other day because it was just a repeat. So I watched the highlights because I knew somebody was down there anyway. So they were just telling me what was going on, and I was like, oh, all right, I'm all good. I'm good. It was more of, you know, free Luigi. I said, this motherfucker killed somebody, and everybody and their mama seen the footage. Same thing with Mr. Tyler Robinson. Whether it was you, your doppelganger, a ghost, or whoever it was, somebody looked like you that shot and killed this poor innocent man. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck what he had to say, because I heard some of the stuff he had to say. I know when I hear anti-black talk, I done been to enough of these. And let me encourage something too. For all y'all motherfuckers out here that was like, yeah, he was a stark racist. I get you. Some shit he did say, they muttered the lines. I get you. Some of it was just right in front of your face. You know what I mean? Like the question he asked, what can't you do that I can do as a black person? And each time he asked somebody black that, I would have respected him more if you would have been like, well, pop, and just fired off. These motherfuckers and some of it's acquired by age, but the point was, it was just like, you know, you're gonna I run into opposition from niggas every day. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of black people and Latin people that want to see me move forward. Do I start doing videos about them? You get what I'm saying here? So it's a tangle where to read, but I will say this about that killer. I think he was trying to set up an alibi by writing that one little clue. And I think that's where Candace don't get the part at, and that's where the FBI, they'll soon get the part at. This motherfucker tried to set him up an alibi, and if you don't find it, I'll run it to you one more time. Candace Owens said that she had and showed a video of a photo of this motherfucker that was in the Dairy Queen, McDonald's, something like that, Mr. Tyler Robinson. Fast forward, I just finished reading the New York Times article that showed an exchange between him and somebody else that was in his, chat group. And they said, where are you at, man? And they put a death emoji behind it. So they knew what he had done already, which is scary enough. You knew what he had done. That's why you put the death emoji there. Don't skip that part. They try to walk over that like it's some Charlie Brown, Mickey Mouse type shit, but it's not. No, you contacted a man because you know he had killed someone. Y'all need to arrest that motherfucker too. You understand what I'm saying? Because if you knew he was going to do that, bitch, you part of it too. Don't be trying to come play hero now. You understand what I'm saying? I don't like people like that. Want to come play hero when it ain't necessary. Nah, you should have been there to prevent this tragedy if you knew what was going on. You were sitting in that chat room. Don't y'all agree? But a lot of men, they won't. A lot of men, they'll sit instead and they'll continue to sit there and act like they so firm supporters or whatever and know everything that's going on and everything else, but they'll never admit it. That's the weakest type of man you could ever get in your life. Trust me when I tell you this. So when I seen them people that are in there and they are paying attention to not only the story of Charlie Kirk, I want you to understand, for example, here exactly what she was saying, Candace Owens. What Candace Owens was saying was, here's this picture, and listen to this very carefully. Candace Owens was saying, here's this picture of him at Dairy Queen sometime, but little time after the shooting. Why would he stop in a restaurant? And why is his clothing only slightly alterated? But yet and still later on, we now get an interview from the FBI admitting that this guy had an exchange with somebody else. And in that exchange, he says, it wasn't me, it was my doppelganger. Now, if I match that up with what Candace Owens said, and Candace Owens said, well, he seems to be only slightly alternated from what he originally had on at a 50-50 margin, meaning like he changed the shirt but didn't change the jeans. You understand what I'm saying? It's still the same identity. Even the color of the shirt was the same. He said, it wasn't me, it was my doppelganger. That's what he said. So I said, he was going to either try to use, either he's telling the truth or he was going to try to use that as his excuse to get and wiggle his way out of this arrest here. I believe there will be another arrest in the case. I'm glad you said that. I think there'll be another, I think it'll be 2 to 3 more arrests. I don't think this kid acted alone. Based on his chat room, I don't think he acted alone. I think he tried, he was very slick and smart, and he tried to create an excuse for himself to kill Charlie Clark. Now, I know a lot of people, Kirk, I know a lot of people that get mad at me. Well, he's away. I don't give a fuck. I grew up around Italians and Greeks. I talk about whoever the fuck I want to talk about. If you don't like that, take your racist ass and go kumbaya some fucking wherever else. I don't give a fuck about you or your fake advocacy. Ain't no niggas donating to me anyway. Only black people donate to me. Niggas don't donate to me. I think the assassin's boyfriend cosplaying as a woman knew. Also, maybe someone else in the Discord, like you said, with the depth. Well, I mean, we got that proof because I just read the article. And that's from the FBI. So the FBI said, yo, this is what exchanged. And he said, this is my doppelganger. I mean, hell, even at the top, Mark, check this out. Even at the top of the article, this is what it says. It literally says that. Like, without no chop. Read the title for yourself. The damn title of the article say that. Hold on, let me get it so y'all can see it. Can y'all see that? Literally the title, let me take this off for a second. Let me take the green screen off. Sometimes it's harder to see with the green screen. Literally the article says that. I mean, this is literally the headline of the article. It wasn't me, my doppelganger did that. That means somebody that looks just like you, talks, says, all right, well, who's this motherfucker? Because I can't get out the fact, like, if you were dating, like, don't get me wrong. If you was dating somebody that was in the house that was used to doing makeup or altering things or whatever, as they say, they had a girlfriend or whatever, I don't know. But it would stand to reason that you would use that as an excuse for something that you may do in the future, or you thought this out very well at 22, 23 years old, however old he is. Because who texts their significant other and says those things over a text message? Would you just call? That's what I said. It's kind of weird for me because I'm like, yo, why would you text somebody talking about where you at and then put a death emoji? I said, you just basically put him in a, you know what I mean, in a way. Talk face to face. Why would you text messages? I'm asking, why would you stop at Dairy Queen after you just shot a nigga? You know what I'm saying? About that? And the whole world, including the president, no. You know what I'm saying? Crazy part is the best excuse was he or the group came up with. Yeah, that is the weird stuff. Right in Coley Howard, Sylvia Goldman says, it sounds to me he is playing his own video game in his head that made a reality in the video. Damn it, Sylvia, there you go. And have running in your head a reality control this young man. Yeah, they get controlled by the things that they engage in here online. And it's weird to me, but they do. Yeah, I think the group acted together, a big group. I think so too. I think the assassin's boyfriend cosplaying as a woman knew. Nigga, you did not just say cosplay. I'm sorry. That was as funny as hell the way you said that. Cosplaying. Oh shit. I know what you were talking about, but it was just the way you said it. You said cosplay. Because I know what that means. I was just finding funny that way you said it. I was talking about the trans boyfriend and him to take that's who he was in exchange with. Yes, it was. Crazy part is the best excuse he or the group came up with. It was my doppelganger, wasn't me. I don't know, man. I'll say like this. And guys, I'm gonna end this conversation. I'm gonna end this live, and then I'm gonna come back and start another live. I'm gonna smoke me a cigarette. You're fine, Mark. Like, listen. I got friends in the LGBTQ community that are straight up people. I would trust some of them more with some of these conversations than I would with other people, because the pure simple fact that niggas gonna tell you what they want to hear. What I find with those folks is they really don't care what people think about them, and I understand it, because they've got to walk out a certain way or be in social environments where, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. And in New York, in the tri-state, it ain't really abnormal to know these folks. You grow up with them. You're around people that are part of the LGBTQ community. Everybody's here in the New York City tri-state. So I've never looked at it like that, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Because we got people like, there's one motherfucker that's in the neighborhood that everybody know. You know, they can become part of, like, you know what I'm saying? Or I got another friend named Elvin. Same thing. Like, you can ask her whatever you want to. You're never going to give you any, yeah, I seen him. Nah, just... Same thing. Yo, I'll sit there, have a conversation with you, everything like that. Their sexuality is their sexuality. They're still people. They still have regular conversations or whatever. One of the things I stay away from over here is because some of the other vloggers are part of the LGBTQ community. Like, what's his name? Amon Wiggins. I mean, that's kind of obvious. I don't have no hate for Amon Wiggins. I seen, like, a lot of people don't like him based off that, but I say a lot of those guys that are in that group, him, I say the Denot nigga. That's my man's right there. Denot out here on some Hollywood shit right now. Y'all just ain't peeping the Denot being spoken about on ABC, motherfucking TMZ. Niggas don't even realize it. I'm like, yo, Denot out here Hollywood and a motherfucker right now. You better take every excerpt that you got and motherfucking clip that shit every time they mention you. And they say, oh yeah, and some blogger asked Cardi B, you better clip every last bit of that shit and have that shit as a real doggy if you listening. I ran into him in person during the Diddy trial, and dude was a stand-up dude. He wasn't funny or nothing. In fact, he said one thing to me, and he apologized that he was saying. I was like, nah, dog, he's from California. I was like, nah, dog, you good? He was like, yo, I just want to say he don't look the same way to people. I don't know what niggas were saying about me, but whatever. He was cool about it. You know what I'm saying? He was respectful and everything like that. So most of them people that's in the LGBTQ community, they're like, hey, come here, I'll find you attractive. That's ridiculous. Most of those folks I find is cool as fuck. They got genuine conversations, and me personally, I've never had a problem with them. I've always had a problem with niggas in the street or cocky ass white boys. Those are people I ain't had a problem with. I can't think of one time in my life I was like, yo, I want to fight some nigga in the LGBTQ for no reason, except for one nigga. This one nigga that's a vlogger. I really wanted to do something to this nigga at one point. Then I was like, yo, you know what? Let me leave this nigga alone. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to Pork Chop, man. That was the whole thing. I was like, yo, I'll do something to this nigga. Like, for real. I have no hate, but if assaulted or assassinated someone, I would not text about it. That's a definite. Yeah, you can delete messages on social media, but that is the optimus most truth right there. It's not going to disappear. It's still here. That's very true. That's very true. Listen, guys, I'm going to end this conversation because I don't want to be too long on a replay. I'm going to take me a cigarette break because I want me a cigarette, and I'm going to make me a fresh coffee. And what we're going to do is I'm going to come back within the next... Give me 20, 30 minutes. I'm going to come back in the next 20, 30 minutes. Y'all make sure y'all join me here, and we're going to continue on the conversation. But with this one right here, I just want to end on the note that Candace Owens actually knew what the hell she's talking about. And there is something funny here. And the FBI themselves, if you're not edging on what I'm saying here, is acknowledging it too with that text message. And I want to see what else happens with that. Mark, you make sure you come back and check me out, man. I'll be back here, like I said, within the next hour or stuff. Just give me something to eat, stuff like that, get myself going. But there's definitely something here that we're missing, people. And I think, and I pointed this out, I said, who are these two gentlemen giving the hand signals? Now I'm seeing major media ask the same question. I saw BBC ask the same question. This is one of the first questions I asked. Who are these two guys that are sitting next to Charlie Kirk doing these hand signals? And now that I see the wide version, literally when he did that last lift, like I had said when I had the close-up version of it, I said it seemed like right at that point, that's when Charlie Kirk was shot. When this man did like that, I said, that's a shot. That's a shot signal. See you in a bit. Nourishment is important, definitely. But we're going to talk more about that because I got some more imagery of that too that I want to show y'all from a different perspective. But the short of it is on my page. And as you'll see, I was talking about this now days ago. This is one of my first conversations I had. I said, who are these two guys that are standing next to Charlie Kirk? Both of them are doing signals. And I pointed out specifically when the dude walked forward. There's another video that I just put up the other day of a dude that's an actual sharpshooter because my family's military. So, I mean, all my mom's brothers and sisters all are multiple different branches of the military. My great uncles and aunts, same thing, multiple branches of the military, inclusive of Marines, Navy, and Army. So, and two decorated, including my aunt who spent a whole bunch of time in Italy and in France doing World War II, I think it was. So she'd been all around. There's going gang shakes. Have a great day. You too. Guys, make sure y'all hit the like button on your way out and hit the Cash App too. If you watch Charlie at his debates and the security guy had been at all, it's always doing that, nothing to it. I don't think so. And the reason I say this more, and I got to disagree with you on that one. When I had the close-up footage, I could only actively hear the gunshot go off the same time he did one particular pose. But the pose he was doing, see, security and military is not very different. You understand what I'm saying? Security and military, they have basically the same training, as well as police officers as well, and as well as state police officers. They all have the same training, in exertion anyway. And so when he did, and in exercise, and in delivery points. So, you know, some of the same moves you'll see police officers do, they actually teach Army Rangers, and Navy and all kinds of other people like that to defend themselves. It's some of the same training. I saw it too. I'm retired military, so you already know what I'm talking about. So, all right, they're usually ex-military or cops. Exactly. Most cops nowadays or security guys are usually ex-military or cops. And so it appeared to me when I heard the shot go off, even though I couldn't whistle it, I could hear it octavely, and I heard the same time he went like this and brushed his arm. And Mark, I think he was here that day when I was talking about it the first time. I said, that's exactly when the shot go off. So when I get the wide version of it and I see the same thing, I also see now there's another man behind all three of them. So it could possibly be three dudes. When before I thought it was just two. There's a third guy that's sitting on the left-hand side of Charlie Kirk, and he's in the background. He's got a white shirt on as well. And the same thing, he's doing some type of hand gesture. Erica Kirk, yeah, they got to watch out. You know, see, I got another theory too, but I don't ever want to talk about that because it might rub people the wrong way. I'll just say something like this, right? And I'll leave it to you like this. Y'all ready for this? A lot of times, y'all ready? A lot of times in the New York City tri-state area, especially when you're talking about it, old world Italian, talking about old world Greek, old world Albanian, old world Black, old world Latin. A lot of times what you'll have is the killer will actually show up at the funeral. The killer will grieve with you. The killer will console your family. The killer will do a lot to make sure that you are comfortable in your mourning. I'll see you guys on the next show.